Hanmaru walks into this story like a tired office slave who thought his biggest enemy was overtime.
Huh?
Not demons trying to turn him into lunch meat. He starts shaky, awkward, zero confidence. Basically, the guy HR forgets exists. Then survival mode kicks in, and he starts biting monsters like a broke man collecting revenge taxes. Fear sticks to him like unpaid bills. Still, he keeps stepping forward when civilians or his mother are threatened. Maru is not a shiny hero. He is stressed, pissed, hungry, and changing fast, slowly turning into the kind of nightmare demons regret waking up. In a lonely stretch of wilderness, a newly built camp sits quiet and lifeless. However, something seriously ugly has already gone down there. A pale young man slowly crawls backward across the dirt, while his whole body shakes with raw fear. Several dead bodies lie scattered in front of him, and that brutal sight messes with his head. His mind spins in confusion because a violent sandstorm suddenly rolls through a place where storms like that have no business showing up. Thick dust begins swallowing the camp while visibility drops fast, and through that gritty haze he spots a tall, dark shadow standing still like it owns the nightmare. The figure holds a bloody sword with two small bells tied to it, and those bells give off a soft, chilling ring that somehow makes the whole scene feel worse. The young man cries for help while panic takes over, then something strange suddenly slithers out from the bushes. The thing wraps tight around his ankle and yanks him straight into the roaring dust storm, leaving nothing behind except one desperate scream that quickly fades into the wind. The next day, 3 investigators stand over the young man's body while studying the scene. They question why he even stepped into a restricted area because that move alone smells like trouble. One girl with short hair and glasses lets out a tired sigh, since another victim means another report that needs rewriting, and that paperwork already feels like a never-ending headache. Another girl with long black hair crouches down and studies the footprints carefully. Then she notices the tracks look massive, which clearly hints that whatever left them is no small creature. While scanning the surrounding forest, the black-haired girl catches something strange moving deep in the trees, and that small detail instantly puts the whole group on alert. She calmly pulls out a small knife and cuts her own hand just enough to let blood slide across the blade, while the sharp sting hits her nerves and triggers a painful reaction that seems intentional. Suddenly, the girl with glasses points straight ahead toward a dark figure and calls out that the monster has appeared. The creature begins stepping toward them while the air grows heavy, then Officer Kang moves forward with steady nerves as her knife shifts into a weapon ready for a real fight. Meanwhile, far away in Seoul City, a completely different scene unfolds inside a tall government building where the Level 9 civil service exam interview is happening. A nervous young man named Hanmaru sits waiting for his turn, while anxiety crushes his confidence little by little. When his interview begins, Maru struggles to answer the judge's questions about his social relationships. He admits communication is not his strong point, and keeping friendships alive often feels exhausting. During college, some classmates even whisper that he behaves like someone dealing with adult ADHD. Realizing how bad that sounds, he quickly tries to clean up his statement and claims his friendships are actually fine, while adding that he gets along with seniors and juniors. The judge falls silent for a moment, and Maru instantly senses he just stepped into trouble. After a short pause, the judge asks about the hardest moment of his life and how he handles it. Maru sits there pale and tense while saying he cannot recall any truly difficult experience. Inside his head, he keeps repeating one simple order to stay calm and answer properly. Then a childhood memory surfaces from a hiking trip with his father. However, while recalling it, a dark sandstorm and a red-eyed shadow suddenly appear inside his mind. The image hits him so hard that he collapses on the spot. When he wakes up, the examiner is shaking him while concern spreads across the room. Maru loses control and vomits from pure shock. Later at home, he sits in quiet frustration over the ruined interview until his mother drops by, offers encouragement, and slips some money into his hand to help him move forward. Maru's mother once tells him that a fortune teller believes his father's spirit is still on the mountain where they used to go together, and that this spirit might be blocking Maru's future. The fortune teller says Maru should climb the mountain, pour wine for his father, and pray for peace so his life can move forward. Remembering this, Maru slowly climbs the mountain, breathing heavily from exhaustion. After a long climb, he finds a small old house. Inside, he briefly sees a black-haired boy and a sick man, but the scene suddenly disappears, and Maru realizes he is seeing memories from his past. Feeling pain and pressure in his chest, he forces himself to calm down and finish the ritual. He pours wine on the ground and prays for his father's peace, and for help in finding a stable job to ease his mother's struggles. Suddenly, a sandstorm appears, and through the dust, a strange monster approaches. When Maru tries to escape, the creature stabs him with a bamboo spear. As he lies dying, he thinks about his lonely life and his mother. Determined not to die, Maru fights back fiercely, bites the monster, and finally tears off its head. The monster lets out a brutal scream, while its body twists in raw pain, and deep inside that ugly throat, something seriously messed up starts happening. Strange eyes slowly open from the darkness of its flesh, and the iris inside those eyes begins shifting like something alive and restless. Meanwhile, a weird light creeps toward Maru, and the moment it touches him, his mind drops straight into chaos. Inside his head, it feels like hundreds of monsters are tearing each other apart in total darkness while their screams bounce around like a damn nightmare that refuses to end. One eye becomes two, and those eyes stare straight into the madness like they are watching the whole violent mess unfold. In that endless dark space, Maru's thoughts echo back at him while he tries to figure out who the hell is calling him. His mouth fills with a sharp metallic taste, and the feeling settles in his gut that this might just be the flavor of death knocking on the door. Then suddenly a voice cuts through the noise again, and slowly his eyes begin to open. Light slips back into his vision while his brain drags itself out of the fog and starts making sense of the scene around him. Not far away, a boy and a girl are standing there scanning the area like they just walked into some shady situation. The boy looks straight at Maru and asks what he is doing in a restricted place like this. Maru pushes himself up while still looking half lost, and the first thing he asks is where the monster went. He quickly notices the sandstorm is gone too, like the whole disaster packed up and dipped overnight. The boy immediately presses him for details, and Maru wipes the blood from his mouth before explaining that a sudden sandstorm rolled in and then some freak monster jumped him out of nowhere. He bluntly admits he thought his time was up because the creature straight up pierced his stomach like it was nothing. The boy and girl exchange a look, clearly thrown off, and quietly bring up that a demon alarm rang the previous day but then shut down without explanation. Now they are standing there wondering if this beat-up guy somehow took down the demon himself. Maru checks his phone and realizes a full day has passed while he was knocked out cold. The boy starts thinking that if Maru really did drop the demon, then he might have picked up some strange power along the way. Still confused as hell, Maru gets taken to a large building where a crowd of people in sharp suits are already gathered. He sits there wearing regular, casual clothes like the odd one out, while trying to piece together what kind of crazy situation he just walked into. Soon, a woman dressed in red steps forward and introduces herself as Yu Young-un, the head of Seoul headquarters. She calmly welcomes the new members, and when Maru nervously insists he should not even be there, she shuts that down real quick by informing him he has already been hired as a full-time civil servant. She also drops a serious warning that their work stays secret because spilling it breaks national security laws. Yoon continues explaining that everyone sitting in that room is a fresh recruit who received demonic power that month. According to her, when demon blood enters a human body, there is a chance the person ends up gaining special abilities. Hearing this mess leaves Maru completely puzzled while he wonders what kind of wild situation he has been dragged into. Right then, a memory hits him out of nowhere. The moment he bit that monster the previous day flashes back in his head, and now a new thought creeps in as he wonders if the creature might have bitten him back. Meanwhile, Un keeps explaining with calm confidence. She tells the group that demons normally appear in remote mountain areas, and that a sandstorm always shows up when they arrive. On top of that, she explains that sandstorms are ranked from level 1 to level 10, and the higher the level climbs, the nastier the demon that comes with it. She then calls out to a man named Seonwoo and praises him for receiving level 7 demonic power, encouraging him to work hard. When she later calls Maru's name, she asks what ability he has received after gaining level 1 power. Maru awkwardly admits that he still does not know what ability he has. Seonwoo laughs slightly, which makes Maru feel embarrassed, but he secretly decides that escaping this strange place might be more important. Suddenly, loud screams echo nearby. Maru panics and asks what is happening. The woman calmly explains that a warning has been triggered because a demon has just appeared. Everyone is quickly guided into a forest for practical training. The woman orders the new recruits to climb the mountain and use their powers against the demon. Maru feels completely confused because he has just survived a terrifying encounter the day before. As a sandstorm forms again, he nervously repeats that safety should come first. Through the dust, he sees a familiar figure, Officer Kang, standing with glowing red eyes and a sword that has pinned a giant demon to a cliff. The woman explains that the creature is only a weak level 1 demon and orders everyone to fight it. Terrified, Maru can barely move, and soon intense anxiety and hunger fill his body as a strange demonic urge in his mind pushes him to eat the monster. A finger suddenly taps Maru on the shoulder and snaps him out of that weird spiral in his head. It is Xianwu standing behind him with that unimpressed look, and he casually asks if Maru got so scared that he started crying like a mess. Maru spins around fast and wipes the saliva from his mouth while trying to play it cool, then he awkwardly blurts out that he is just hungry. The excuse sounds weak even to him, and Xianwu clearly is not buying that nonsense. Instead, he sighs and turns away, while muttering that this whole group is packed with useless people who barely look ready to survive 5 minutes out here. Maru stands there feeling like an idiot while holding his stomach, and he quietly wonders why his mouth decided to say he was hungry in the first place. Meanwhile, Un stands calmly on the edge of the cliff and begins laying out the basic rules of the area. She explains that the yellow dust floating around them is created by demons, and the stronger the demon is, the thicker that nasty dust becomes. To prove her point, she casually slices her own palm with a knife, and everyone watches as the wound slowly begins closing faster than normal. However, she makes it clear that fatal injuries will still drop someone dead, so nobody should get cocky. She also adds that their strange powers only work properly inside the dust, and once they step outside it, they are basically regular humans again, with no special advantage. While Un continues explaining all this, Xianwu looks bored out of his mind like he already heard this lecture 100 times. Curiosity creeps in anyway, so he bites his lip until blood touches the yellow dust. Almost instantly, his body tightens with strength, and his eyes glow with a sharp yellow light like something inside him just woke up. Right then, the demon suddenly breaks free from Kang's blade and lets out a vicious roar. The creature slams its arm into the ground so hard, the impact shakes everyone around it. Kang prepares to rush in again, but Un raises a hand and stops her cold, because the new recruits need a taste of real danger if they plan on surviving this line of work. The demon slowly turns its attention toward Maru, and its ugly gaze locks onto him like it found a target worth messing with. Panic hits Maru immediately, and he blurts out why the monster keeps staring at him like that. The answer comes fast and ugly. A mouth suddenly opens inside the demon's palm and shoots forward like a living spear that punches straight through Maru's shoulder. Pain rips out of him as he screams, and before he can even recover, the demon jumps in front of him ready to strike again. At that moment, another fighter triggers a strange centipede-like power that erupts from the ground and wraps around the demon to trap it in place. Then another recruit rushes forward and slashes deep into the creature, forcing it to scream while thick blood spills everywhere. The cut looks brutal for a second, but the yellow dust swirling around the demon quickly closes the wound like the injury never mattered. Watching from nearby, a woman stares in shock as the deep injury disappears almost instantly. Meanwhile, the demon starts laughing like the whole fight is just entertainment. It grabs the centipede creature wrapped around its body and yanks hard, dragging the man controlling it straight forward before throwing him toward the woman behind him. The poor guy screams as the demon tightens its grip around him and begins choking the life out of him. The monster opens its mouth full of razor teeth and prepares to swallow him whole, while the man desperately begs for help. That is when Xianwu finally steps forward. He bends one gloved finger and quietly murmurs a short spell under his breath. Instantly, the demon's mouth twists painfully to one side, and its grip loosens. Xianwu calmly pulls the glove off his hand and grips his own wrist while focusing his power. Then, with one sharp motion, the demon's neck snaps sideways. Without wasting a second, he steps forward and crushes its head under his foot to finish the job. In his mind, the rule is simple. Cut the head off before the creature touches that healing dust again. The people nearby start whispering in pure disbelief at how easily he handled the demon. Xianwu simply shrugs it off and states that the creature was weak. Kang, however, angrily accuses him of acting carelessly and awakening the demon, which has put the new recruits in danger. As they argue, Un steps in to calm them. Soon, she notices that one of the newcomers, Maru, has disappeared. Maru has already run away in fear, believing hiding is the only way to survive. While running through the forest, he suddenly stops when a huge shadow covers him. At the same time, Un complains that running from a demon proves Maru is not suited to be a special civil servant, though Kang still wonders why the demon targeted him earlier. Meanwhile, Maru discovers a strange gate made of swirling yellow dust. From it, a tall demon steps out. Terrified, he hides behind a bush, believing the creature has vanished, but without his noticing, it suddenly appears right in front of him. Kang's focus snaps when one of her subordinates bursts in, voice tight with urgency, letting her know a level 3 demon just popped up. Un freezes for a second because nothing like this has ever hit the same area at the same time. Kang doesn't waste a second. She demands the exact location and learns it's deep inside the restricted zone. Meanwhile, Maru, already bleeding and battered, sprints through the forest, screaming for help that isn't coming. His legs catch a hidden rock and he tumbles down a cliff, scraping himself even more, but he struggles up and spots a small house nearby. Hope flickers as he bolts for it, praying it's a safe hideout. Inside the closed room, he slumps against the wall, chest heaving, trying to figure out if the demon trailed him. When he peeks through the door, he sees a tall demon wrapped in swirling yellow dust, strange objects hovering above it like it's got its own damn storm brewing. Just then, the door swings open and an elderly woman steps outside, muttering about the fog choking her vision. The demon perks up, turning toward her with unsettling curiosity. From his hiding spot, Maru freezes, panic cutting through him because he has nothing that feels like a real weapon. Un's voice echoes in his mind, reminding him wounds heal faster inside sandstorms, but fatal injuries still kill. His body trembles, mind screaming to run, yet the thought of leaving the woman there claws at him. She moves slowly toward the demon, mistaking it for someone she knows, until terror finally hits her full force. The demon mimics her voice, then lifts its hand. The floating objects above its head sharpen into arrows and launch straight at her. Blood sprays the air, but the pain never touches her because Maru throws himself in the way, taking the hits like he's already gone too far to care. Weak but defiant, he whispers that she's safe before crumpling, urging her to run. Kneeling, feeling worthless, he swallows the truth. His level 1 power is pitiful, and he's just a human pretending he can save anyone. His vision dims while he sees her terrified face, and the fear of death squeezes his chest. Then the impossible happens. Golden dust from the sandstorm swirls around his broken arm, knitting the flesh together. Red bloodlines streak across his neck and face, heart hammering as the old hunger crashes back. Drool slips from his mouth as he lunges like a starving beast, teeth bared, tearing into the demon without hesitation. Kang bursts onto the scene, hearing the chaos before she even reaches the gate. When she pushes through, the sight stops her cold. Maru is clamped onto the demon, ripping flesh, blood spraying everywhere, yet he barely bleeds from the counterattacks. The wound where he bites the creature refuses to heal, and Kang immediately understands its significance. Without a pause, she jumps, snatches one of the floating arrows, crushes it, and her weapon transforms into a massive sword. Ignoring the demon's furious strikes, she deflects arrows with precision and slams into it with bone-shattering force, the storm around them humming with deadly intensity. Her final strike splits the demon's body into 2 pieces. After the fight, she helps the old woman stand and calmly tells her that nothing serious has happened, pretending it has only been a wild boar. Once the sandstorm disappears and the danger passes, Kang looks back at Maru lying unconscious and wonders how someone with such low power can possess such incredible healing ability. Maru lets out a sharp, frustrated yell the moment it hits him he has to report for work the next day. The memory of that monstrous demon still gnaws at his mind, and for a second it feels like his spirit just tried to bail on him. He pushes hard against the thought, insisting he does not want to go, not after what he just survived, but somewhere deep down he knows a paycheck won't chase itself. Reluctantly, he decides to shove the panic aside and just crash for a few hours. Sleep comes, but it brings no peace. His dreams twist into nightmares, endless demons clustering together like some unholy convention. A low, unfamiliar voice echoes through the darkness, telling him to turn back, return, do something he doesn't understand. He jerks awake, sweat plastered to his skin, lungs burning for air, and wonders why these visions won't leave him alone. Through the window, darkness still grips the city, but his eyes catch fire blazing up Chongai Mountain. Red-orange flames dance violently, and in the center stands a demon, a monstrous chunk of black lava come to life. Government officers are already throwing themselves into the fight. One officer soars through the air, summoning a torrent of water that rains down onto the demon's burning body. Another twists the yellow dust into ice arrows that pin the demon's feet, but the creature roars, shattering the ice and scattering frozen shards across the forest floor. The captain dives forward with a sharp ice weapon, but the demon retaliates with dark, pulsing energy, smashing him into a tree. Its body roils like a live volcano, lava bursting from its back while the chaos spreads. Back at Seoul headquarters, alarms blare and red warning lights flash non-stop. Un listens with ice in her veins as Kang reports demon attacks erupting across multiple mountains. Then an emergency call from Busan cracks through. A mysterious gate on Jumjeong Mountain has stayed open for 3 days, glowing and dangerous, and demons are flooding out. Director Bae Myung-sik's voice carries tension as he relays the scene. From the yellow dust around the gate, shadows rise slowly, Rakshasa demons stepping out like predators on display. He asks Un why the gate hasn't shut yet, since gates usually vanish fast. One demon lifts its hood, revealing a bloody mouth, unsettling the officers. A translator listens carefully as a female officer repeats the demon's words. Someone has to be brought back there. Un frowns, wondering who they mean, while the hooded demon shifts in the moonlight, sharp angles cutting shadows as if it's dancing. Myongsik admits he has no clue who they're after, but predicts this person will show up eventually. The human civil servants look minuscule against the looming demons, frozen in awe. Above the mountains, a helicopter cuts through the night sky. Inside sits a long-haired, sharp-featured man who answers the emergency calmly, saying he already knows the situation and will handle it himself. Soon he jumps from the helicopter and lands on the ground with confidence. When his body touches the yellow dust, his power reacts, and he moves through the air again, landing lightly on the roof of the demon gate under the moonlight. A nearby female officer notices him and warns that the place is dangerous. Meanwhile, a red-scarfed demon attacks from behind her, but the mysterious man reacts instantly. He reaches through a crack in space, grabs the demon's head, and tears it off in a single motion. As the demon's body collapses, everyone stares in shock. The man calmly greets them and says he will handle the situation. The captain then explains that the newcomer is Director Jong Il-do, the founder of the Yellow Dust Task Force, whose power releases powerful purple energy beams into the sky. Dark lightning suddenly shoots forward and flashes across the sky like a storm. The black lightning forms strange cracks in the air above the mountain, surrounding the entire area. Everyone looks up in confusion. One officer asks what the strange black cracks are. The captain replies that even he has never seen such a thing before, but has heard that Director Il-do possesses an extremely rare space manipulation ability. The girl beside him wonders if this is the strongest power that exists. Director Il-do calmly looks at the cracks in front of him and stretches his hand forward, pulling the space open even wider. Meanwhile, far away at another mountain, a powerful fire demon continues burning everything around it. Water thrown at the creature immediately turns to steam. The captain fighting there is completely exhausted, and the girl behind him has already collapsed. He tries to wake her and suggests escaping before it is too late. Suddenly, the demon attacks again. The captain uses all his remaining strength to form a water shield, but the force of the demon's strike shatters it. The captain is thrown back and believes he might die at that moment. However, the final blow never comes. When he opens his eyes, a large crack in space appears. From that crack, Director Il-do reaches out, grabs the demon's head, and pulls the creature away as if it is nothing. With calm confidence, he prepares to handle the rest of the situation. Using his space powers, he opens more cracks across different mountains where demons are attacking civil servants. One by one, the demons are dragged through the cracks and pulled to the same location where Director Il-do stands. Soon, the space openings close again. At Seoul headquarters, the staff informs Un that the sandstorms and demons have disappeared from many areas, which means Director Il-do has already arrived in Busan. Standing calmly among dozens of demons now gathered around him, Director Il-do removes his jacket and smiles slightly. The demons roar and rush toward him, but he simply creates a circle of space cracks around them. In an instant, their heads are cut off and thrown into the air. Everyone watching the battle is shocked by the unbelievable display of power. Many of them have never seen such terrifying strength before. The remaining fire demon also appears frightened after witnessing what has just happened. Director Il-do slowly walks toward the creature and studies it carefully. He asks for the demon language interpreter to come closer so he can question the monster. Grabbing the demon by the head, he demands to know why the demons have been appearing everywhere during the past week. The interpreter translates the demon's strange answer, which repeats that they have come to bring someone back. Curious, Director Il-do asks who that person is, but the demon simply repeats his words, without giving a clear explanation. The interpreter explains that the demons keep repeating the same phrase, and nothing more. Realizing there is no useful information left to gather, Director Il-do decides to end the situation. His expression becomes cold as he prepares to eliminate the remaining demon. After dealing with the creature, he turns his attention to the mysterious gate that has been releasing demons. Calmly, he uses his spatial ability again, opening a large crack in space that rushes toward the gate and swallows it completely. The officers nearby are stunned, covering their mouths in disbelief as the gate disappears along with the golden dust. Some whisper that it is reassuring to have such a powerful leader protecting them. The next morning at Seoul headquarters, Un enters the office and asks Director Il-do what has happened to the gate. Now dressed in a formal suit, he calmly explains that he has sealed the gate inside his personal dark space. She jokes about how dangerous that sounds, but he admits that even someone with great power has limits when managing such a large organization. Un then displays information about several new recruits on a screen. Director Ildo carefully studies the faces until his eyes stop on Maru's photo, because he believes the demons have been searching for that specific person. At the same time, in Maru's dream, many demons gather together beneath a giant mysterious woman with long black hair and bright emerald eyes, who orders them to bring that person back to her. Maru arrives at the new employee orientation center, wearing a neat suit, and feels both nervous and proud. He remembers his mother crying with happiness when she hears that her son has finally become a government civil servant. Thinking about that moment fills him with joy, but he also worries about whether he can succeed in this strange job. The man who calls him unconscious earlier is now the one welcoming him. This man wears a green shirt and looks at Maru with an unfriendly expression, questioning why someone who once tries to run away has come back. Maru notices a smell of alcohol but tries to ignore it. Soon, another man in a blue shirt greets him casually, and a serious captain arrives to speak with the group. The captain explains that assignments are decided by headquarters and welcomes the newcomers to the team. When Maru nervously looks at the office door, he imagines a terrifying scene full of blood and chaos inside. However, when the door opens, he discovers that it is only a normal office where civil servants are quietly working at their desks. The blue-shirted captain introduces the members of the team one by one, including experienced officers and a younger recruit. He then tells Maru and another new employee to observe the situation and learn how things work. Maru feels confused by the lack of guidance, but goes to his desk anyway. Seeing another nervous newcomer across from him, he tries to greet him politely, hoping they can support each other. However, the man, Seonwoo, reacts angrily and rejects his friendly greeting. Feeling awkward, Maru wonders why his teammates are so strange. Later, another officer explains that civil servant teams are spread across 13 headquarters in different cities and are assigned based on the strength of their demonic powers. Lower-risk areas like this one usually receive weaker recruits, though some powerful officers choose to work there voluntarily. Soon Kang enters the room after finishing a night shift, catching everyone's attention. Kang ignores the conversation around her and says that there is no point in going home to rest because she will be exhausted again when she returns. While listening to the others talk, she quietly wonders if the new recruit has already arrived and whether he remembers what has happened earlier. At that moment, Maru suddenly reacts with surprise when he learns that employees there receive a special life allowance. He realizes that anyone risking their life fighting demons needs strong benefits. Another officer explains that dangerous work like this pays 5 times the normal salary. Hearing that, Maru freezes in shock because such money can reach millions. After the explanation, the staff tells the newcomers to relax and wait for the alarm that signals demon activity. As time passes, Maru sits calmly, drinking tea, and feels surprised that the job seems so comfortable while still paying extremely well. Later, Godiakman stretches and asks the new recruits how their first day feels. Seonwoo answers coldly that it feels like nothing. Maru then asks a serious question about what demons actually are and where they come from. The captain admits that nobody truly knows their origin and that their job is simply to stop them whenever they appear. Maru accepts that explanation and decides he should focus on doing his work well. That night at Seoul headquarters, Un visits Director Ildo in a hidden underground area where a strange machine containing yellow dust is operating. They discuss the increasing number of demon appearances and the possibility that a mysterious event known as That Day might be approaching. Later, the team gathers at a barbecue restaurant where the captain explains that when that day arrives, demons can appear everywhere, even in low-risk areas. Maru imagines thousands of monsters attacking and feels nervous, while the others try to relax and enjoy the evening. Meanwhile, far away in a dark mountain region, a golden light suddenly appears in the sky, and another mysterious gate slowly opens. Soon, the mysterious gate begins opening wider, and many clawed tentacles push out from inside it. A terrifying head slowly appears. At the same moment, the emergency alarm rings loudly on everyone's phones, warning that demons have appeared again. The team members are shocked because they do not expect demons to appear at that time. Kang immediately stands up, removes her apron, and announces that they need to leave right away. Seonwoo, slightly drunk and embarrassed, offers to go with her, but Kang refuses and instead orders Maru to accompany her. Maru nearly chokes on his drink from surprise. While they drive to the location, Maru worries that demon attacks might soon become more frequent. He has just started the job and hopes for an easy position, but now he faces dangerous missions. Kang notices his concern and calmly explains that headquarters has capable people handling the larger problems, so their responsibility is simply to defeat the demons that appear in their area. She also tells Maru that his ability is unusual and that she expects him to perform well. Her praise surprises him because few people ever compliment him before. When Maru asks about his power, she explains that his demonic ability allows him to destroy demons permanently by eating them. Although he feels disgusted by the idea, he tries to accept that this strange ability is his strength. During the fight, he forces himself to bite a demon, but he immediately pulls away because it is too disgusting. Kang urges him to continue anyway. By the next morning, Maru returns to the office completely exhausted and collapses on his desk. Seonwoo notices his condition and mockingly asks how it feels to fight demons for the first time. Maru replies coldly that it is none of his business, which only makes Seonwoo more irritated. Seonwoo angrily points at Maru and complains that Kang seems to favor him, which makes him frustrated. After insulting Maru and calling him useless, Seonwoo walks away in anger. Maru feels hurt and angry, but also admits to himself that the criticism sounds partly true because he often feels like a failure. Just then, the emergency alarm rings again, and Kang quickly calls for Maru. However, his chair is empty because he goes to the restroom. Inside the bathroom, Maru holds his head and tries to calm himself, feeling exhausted and overwhelmed by the thought of constantly fighting demons and even eating them. When he walks out, still trembling, he runs into Kang. She suspects he hides there and asks where he is going. Maru nervously explains that his stomach feels sick after the previous day's events. Kang sighs and tells him that the job might not suit him. She explains that people with demonic powers do not always become special civil servants. Some live ordinary lives under supervision by the council instead. Maru is surprised but realizes that being supervised might be safer than dying in dangerous missions. Kang warns him that weakness during a mission can cause innocent people to die, so if he truly cannot handle the job, he should quit. Her harsh words leave Maru silent and shaken. Later, while the others search for him in the office, Maru stands alone on a bridge and decides it might be better to leave the job and live quietly. He calls his mother to tell her his decision, but she says she is currently visiting Inwang Mountain. Maru immediately warns her that the mountains are dangerous, but the phone signal becomes weak. Before the call ends, she mentions seeing strange yellow dust in the area. Realizing that golden dust means demons are nearby, Maru panics when the call disconnects. Meanwhile, a demon hunting team at Inwang Mountain prepares for a dangerous mission because a level 5 demon appears. Maru suddenly sees the terrifying creature sitting in a tree and eating a human arm, which makes him run away in fear. The young recruit trembles in fear and can hardly believe what he is seeing. In front of him, his teammates are falling one after another while a powerful level 5 demon attacks them. The creature has already grabbed the captain and is biting into his body. The captain realizes the team might be destroyed if help does not arrive soon. Knowing the rescue team will not reach them in time, he orders the rookie to escape and call for support from Seoul headquarters. Using a special clone ability to delay the demon, the captain forces the recruit to run. The frightened rookie quickly leaves the area and rushes to the emergency phone booth outside the restricted zone because normal mobile phones do not work inside the yellow dust. After receiving the call, Eun at headquarters immediately begins organizing assistance. She explains that if the demons move from the green restricted zone and enters the yellow zone into nearby civilian areas, many innocent people can be harmed. Imagining peaceful streets turning into scenes of destruction, she urgently orders all available teams to move and help the trapped group. At the same time, Maru arrives near Inwang Mountain by taxi and rushes toward the entrance. The road leading up the mountain is blocked by warning signs, and many people gather nearby. When Maru does not see his mother among them, he realizes she must still be trapped somewhere on the mountain. He asks a worker if he can pass through, explaining that his mother is inside, but the worker refuses because the area is considered extremely dangerous. Ignoring the warning, Maru secretly slips past the crowd and climbs the mountain himself. As he moves through the thick yellow mist, he worries about finding her in time. Soon, he finally sees a familiar figure ahead. It is his mother, who injures her leg while trying to help another woman named Yubin's mother. When she recognizes Maru, she is shocked and asks why he has come there. Maru explains that he has seen her post online and rushes to help. While they speak, the two mothers talk proudly about Maru becoming a civil servant and hope he will soon find a good wife as well. Maru urgently warns his mother to be careful and tells her that this is not the time to talk about ordinary matters. He begs her to leave the mountain quickly because danger can appear at any moment. Suddenly, he looks up and sees the demon approaching. Fear fills his mind as he wonders how someone as weak as himself can possibly protect his mother from such a powerful creature. His body trembles with anxiety while his mother, not understanding the danger yet, continues worrying about him. Maru's shout attracts the demon's attention, and it immediately turns toward his mother to attack her. Realizing the danger, Maru rushes down the slope, slipping on the cliff as he tries to reach her in time. The demon opens its terrifying mouth and lunges forward. Maru becomes so anxious that blood runs from his nose. At that moment, several sharp objects suddenly fly through the air and strike the demon, forcing it to fall. Maru stares in surprise when he notices knives stuck in the creature's back. Even stranger, more knives begin floating above his own head. His mother points upward, asking what is happening above him. Shocked, Maru realizes that the floating blades seem similar to the demon's earlier ability. The back of his shirt tears as a small horn begins growing from his back. Slowly, he understands that when he bites the demon earlier, he must have absorbed part of its power. Believing he can stop the monster if he controls this ability properly, Maru tries to guide the knives around him. Meanwhile, near the phone booth where the frightened rookie calls for help, two agents from Seoul headquarters arrive to investigate. The rookie explains that a powerful demon has destroyed their entire team. The agents suspect it might be a mirror demon capable of copying the powers of special agents. As they speak, the demon suddenly attacks again, launching countless knives toward Maru and striking his body, causing him to cough up blood. Blood runs down Maru's face as he realizes that the demon is using the same power he has. He quickly understands that the creature must have copied his ability. The demon stands up again, and the mirror on its face reflects Maru's image clearly. Fighting through the pain, Maru pulls the knives from his body one by one. After watching the demon imitate his movements, he confirms that it is a mirror demon capable of copying its opponent's powers. Although frightened by the sight of the monster copying him exactly, he turns his attention to his injured mother. Rushing toward her, he asks if she is safe. Her knee is badly wounded, and Maru knows that normal injuries in the yellow dust do not heal easily. His mother worries about the blood on his face, but Maru tries to reassure her by showing that he can still move and that he is determined to protect her. Knowing that no one else is nearby to help them, he decides he has to defeat the demon himself. He tells his mother to escape immediately and promises he will handle the danger. Then, with determination, he rushes toward the demon, grabs it around the waist, and both of them fall together down a steep cliff. His mother screams his name as they disappear from sight. At the bottom of the cliff, Maru slowly regains consciousness and sees the demon lying nearby. His first thought is that he has successfully drawn the monster away from his mother and that they only need to wait for the rescue team to arrive. However, new danger soon appears. In another area, two agents discover many identical mirror demons crawling toward them. One of the men explains that these creatures can divide themselves, creating multiple copies. While his partner rushes forward and attacks without thinking, the bald agent realizes the real demon is not among the copies. Meanwhile, the true mirror demon remains near Maru, breathing in the yellow dust to gather more power as sharp knives begin growing from its head just like Maru's own ability. Maru realizes that the demon has recovered almost instantly and becomes frustrated. The creature even copies his mother's worried voice, which makes Maru furious because it feels like the monster is mocking him. In anger, he throws many knives at the demon, but every one of them misses their target. Seeing this, the demon copies his movement and launches a knife back at him. The blade strikes Maru's shoulder, and he shouts in pain. Refusing to give up, Maru throws another knife, which finally stabs into the demon's shoulder. For a moment, he feels hopeful, but the demon calmly pulls the weapon out while the yellow dust around it quickly heals the wound. Maru realizes that demons heal extremely fast, which makes defeating them very difficult. At that moment, he remembers advice Kang gives him earlier. She explains that fear only gives demons more opportunities to attack and that wounds can recover quickly in the yellow dust environment. Maru once complains that fighting demons hurts too much and that the only way to stop them completely might be by eating them, but Kang encourages him instead of criticizing him. She explains that cutting a demon's throat can stop it from creating more golden dust, though she admits that Maru's role is usually support rather than direct combat. Still, she praises his strong recovery ability and tells him not to be afraid during battles. Remembering her words gives Maru confidence. He realizes that his healing ability allows him to survive longer than most fighters, and the power he copies from the demon means he can now deal damage as well. The only problem is his poor accuracy when throwing knives. Determined to improve, he focuses carefully on his next move while the demon continues mocking him using his mother's voice. Maru tightens his grip on a knife and decides that if throwing is too difficult, he will simply attack directly. With determination, he jumps toward the demon, aiming to stab it at close range. For a brief moment, Maru believes he has won the battle. However, his confidence vanishes when the demon suddenly blocks his final attack with its teeth. Shocked by this unexpected defense, Maru hesitates, and the demon immediately grabs his neck. Both of them struggle dangerously while hanging near the edge of the cliff. The creature continues mocking him by repeating his mother's worried voice, which only makes the situation more disturbing. With terrifying strength, the demon pulls Maru upward and then slams him violently onto the ground. The impact knocks the air from his lungs, leaving him barely able to breathe. Realizing he has little time left, Maru prepares to use his strange, devouring ability to survive. At that moment, the mirror on the demon's face reflects his image clearly. The demon suddenly bites into Maru's neck, causing intense pain. Desperate, Maru reaches behind his back, grabs a knife, and slashes the demon's neck, forcing it to release him. Although he manages to escape its grip, Maru feels extremely weak and dizzy. His vision blurs as blood continues flowing from his wounds without stopping. He slowly collapses onto the ground, fearing that the demon might have copied his devouring ability and prevented his body from healing. Watching the blood spread beneath him, Maru wonders how long he can survive after losing so much. He understands that if he loses consciousness, his mother remains in terrible danger. At that moment, he remembers Kang's earlier advice. She once tells him that when fear and panic overwhelm him, he has to fight through it rather than surrender. She warns that if he gives in to that feeling of dying, the outcome becomes real. Thinking about those words, Maru realizes he cannot give up. Above the cliff, his mother continues calling his name desperately. Struggling to remain conscious, Maru presses his hand against his wound and grips his knife tightly. The glass mirror on the demon's face reflects a sharp flash of light, and in that moment, he remembers Kang's final instruction that even if he risks his life, he must destroy the mirror demon before it can harm anyone else. Maru forces himself to stand despite the pain in his body. Biting his lip, he shouts and runs directly toward the mirror demon. The demon also rushes forward and stabs a knife deep into Maru's side, causing terrible pain. Ignoring the injury, Maru throws his knife high into the sky. The demon looks up in confusion and wonders why Maru has done that. Maru does not answer. Instead, he tightly wraps both arms around the demon's body and holds it firmly in place. With a loud roar, he uses his power to call the knife back. The blade returns from the sky, followed by many others that fly toward them. The knives pierce through the demon's body, making it scream loudly. Some blades also stab into Maru, but he endures the pain and refuses to let go. Blue veins appear across his face as he struggles. One blade tears off the demon's arm, and another flies forward and cuts off its head. The severed head rolls across the ground while Maru finally releases his grip and collapses in exhaustion. Lying on the ground, he realizes he has defeated the monster. Nearby, other agents notice that demon bodies are slowly disappearing and wonder if their essence has been destroyed, though they later realize the main body has already been killed somewhere else. Meanwhile, Maru notices that his wounds are slowly healing now that the demon is dead. He feels relieved, but also realizes how close he has come to dying. Thinking about returning home with his mother, a strange memory suddenly appears in his mind. In that memory, a dark figure, his father, once forces him to eat something mysterious. Looking at the demon's corpse, Maru understands how powerful the creature has been. He decides to devour the body to absorb its strength. Remembering the prophecy that demons will soon appear everywhere like rain, he knows he needs to become stronger to protect his mother. He sits beside the corpse, lifts the demon's arm, and begins eating. When he finishes, a frightening yellow light flashes in his eyes, and he silently decides that from now on he will devour every powerful demon he encounters. At the hospital, Maru's mother explains that she fainted on the mountain and cannot remember anything that happens there. Hearing this makes Maru feel very relieved, because it means she does not remember the demon attacking her. To distract her, Maru shows a news article on his phone and gently reminds her not to go up the mountain again because it is dangerous. His mother sadly explains that she goes there because she thinks she sees someone who looks like Maru's father. That thought makes Maru uneasy, since his father also disappears in the mountains long ago. Suddenly, a strange childhood memory appears in his mind. In the memory, young Maru stands on a mountain while blood drips down his face. A man nearby is coughing up blood while a huge demon is eating a human body. The frightening memory makes Maru turn pale, and he wonders where that strange vision comes from. His mother notices his pale face and asks if work is exhausting him. Maru quickly reassures her that he has already adapted to his job at headquarters. Later at the office, a coworker angrily calls out Maru's name and demands to know where he goes the previous day without telling anyone. Another colleague mocks him, suggesting that he runs away out of fear. Maru lowers his head and apologizes, but Kang steps in and explains that she allows him to leave because he is not feeling well. The discussion is interrupted when an alarm sounds announcing a level 2 demon. Kang quickly prepares to leave. Maru suddenly stands up and insists on going with them. On the mountain, he apologizes to Kang for causing her trouble earlier, but she simply asks why he returns after leaving. Maru explains that he comes back because he is ready to fight. Soon they spot a large demon moving through the yellow dust. While the others remain cautious, Maru confidently steps forward and asks them to move aside, declaring that he will handle the enemy himself. After defeating the Rakshasa on Inwang Mountain, Maru feels much stronger and believes he is no longer a useless member of the team. During the fight, he lifts his arm and rubs his armpit, releasing a terrible rotten smell. The demon smells it and reacts excitedly, while the stench becomes so strong that it almost makes Maru vomit. Even so, he refuses to lose his determination. He rushes forward and punches the creature repeatedly in the stomach. The smell is so bad that the male civil servant has to cover his nose, joking that the demon's armpit odor is like a biological weapon. Kang also becomes dizzy from the smell and nearly faints, but the male civil servant quickly catches him and tries to wake him up. Seeing his teammates struggling, Maru realizes that if he fails, the whole team can be destroyed. With tears in his eyes, he forces himself to keep fighting, declaring that he is faster than the demon and will not be underestimated. The battle strangely turns into a competition of who can produce the worst smell. Using all his strength, Maru releases another powerful wave of foul gas that strikes the demon directly in the face. The creature inhales the smell and immediately collapses on the ground. Maru then turns toward his teammates and announces that the fight is over. However, neither of them seems happy because the terrible smell still surrounds them. Later, beside a stream, the three of them try to wash away the odor. Kang asks Maru if it is true that he can absorb a Rakshasa's powers by eating it. Maru explains that he can copy abilities from demons he devours, which is how he gains the reflection skill earlier. The male civil servant laughs while reenacting the strange scene from the battle. Kang encourages Maru, telling him that he improves a lot, though she admits that eating demons sounds frightening. After they finish resting, a tall man approaches Maru, introduces himself, and confirms that Maru is the specialist who defeats the level 5 Rakshasa on Inwang Mountain. Impressed that someone with only level 1 ability does such a thing, the man smiles and invites Maru. Maru looks at the tall man with suspicion and asks whether the invitation involves multiple levels of authority. The man instead asks if Maru knows everyone working at Seoul headquarters. Maru is surprised and wonders if that is the place where the strongest people stay. He even points at himself in disbelief, asking if the man really means him. The man calmly confirms that he notices great potential in Maru. Although Maru doubts this, the man soon returns to his duties. Later, at headquarters, the director speaks with an employee who questions why he delays signing a contract and disappears earlier. The director replies that he finds someone interesting. When asked if he means a boy, possibly Seonwoo, the director denies it and explains that after his divorce, he rarely sees his own son, so he starts paying attention to other people instead. He hints that the person he means is a new recruit whom he might guide in the future. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a mysterious gate to the underworld opens again, and yellow dust spreads through a nearby house while a thin demon quietly searches inside a refrigerator. Back at headquarters, Maru sits silently at his desk, thinking about how working for Seoul might be easier and more comfortable. However, he also realizes that joining them will mean facing much stronger demons. Even so, he feels proud that someone recognizes his abilities. Across the room, Seonwoo stares at him with clear dislike and criticizes him harshly, saying that a level 1 fighter like Maru has no real ability and that his confidence is annoying. Maru tries to defend himself, but Seonwoo continues mocking him and even complains about his bad smell. The comment embarrasses Maru deeply, and the room soon fills with laughter. Go Daeokmin even points at him while laughing loudly. Feeling unlucky and humiliated, Maru wonders why everyone likes teasing him. Eventually, Miss Yoon stands up and tells everyone to stop talking, reminding them that Maru actually does well and survives a dangerous mission. Although Maru thanks her, her comment that hiding during battle is acceptable still makes him feel ashamed. Thinking about everything, Maru glances at Kang and decides that perhaps moving to Seoul headquarters can give him a fresh start. At that moment, the alarm suddenly sounds again. When the alarm rings, Kang immediately jumps up because a level 2 demon appears. However, Seonwoo stops her and insists that he should go instead because he is bored of sitting around. He mocks Maru and asks where the useless rookie thinks he is going. In the end, both Seonwoo and Maru go to investigate together. Seonwoo climbs the mountain with excitement, while Maru follows behind him, secretly wishing he does not have to work with him. Maru even thinks about asking the director for a transfer to Seoul headquarters. As they move forward, Seonwoo suddenly notices a house ahead, surrounded by strange yellow dust. Maru also sees the sandstorm around the building and feels uneasy. They open the iron gate and step inside the yard. The entire house is covered in dust, and it looks completely deserted. Maru carefully checks the area and notices that no people are around, which makes him slightly relieved. He warns Seonwoo to move carefully, but Seonwoo ignores him and walks straight to a closed door. When he tries to open it, he finds it locked. Maru quickly tells him to slow down and be careful, but Seonwoo angrily brushes his warning aside. Curious, Seonwoo bends down and looks through the keyhole. Inside, he sees a blurry figure sitting quietly on its knees. Maru also looks and notices that the demon's aura does not seem very strong. Seonwoo disagrees and warns that powerful demons can hide their energy. Feeling excited about the chance to fight a strong enemy, he begins preparing for battle. Maru, however, feels that the situation is dangerous and suggests reporting it to headquarters. When he tries to leave, he realizes the house door is suddenly locked. Seonwoo begins kicking the door and shouting at the demon inside. Maru feels frustrated being stuck with such a reckless partner. Meanwhile, the demon inside slowly moves its mouth, and its head begins splitting into two. Seonwoo stares at the strange door in frustration. He uses all his strength and even breaks all 10 of his fingers while trying to force it open, yet the door does not move at all. Shocked, he wonders what kind of material the door is made from. Maru then grabs a chair and smashes it against the glass door while shouting for someone to open it. However, nothing changes. Maru soon realizes that every part of the house, including the doors, walls, and windows, feels as strong as steel. He begins to suspect that a demon traps them there, using some special power. As time passes, Maru leans against the wall, feeling nervous and close to panic. After an hour, he is already anxious, imagining that everyone at the office must be worried. When 2 hours pass, his frustration grows, and he wonders if the team has completely forgotten about them. Back at headquarters, the staff suddenly realizes something important. Go Deokman shouts in shock while Miss Yoon angrily remembers that it is training day in Busan and everyone has been distracted preparing documents. Kang quickly finishes the paperwork and hands a USB to Go Deokman so he can leave for the training. After the rush ends, the office becomes quiet as everyone finally relaxes with coffee. Suddenly, the team realizes that Maru and Seonwoo have been gone for 3 hours. Miss Yoon immediately decides they should go find them and asks another member to come along. Kang insists on joining because she feels something is wrong. Soon, the rescue team arrives at the strange house and enters carefully. The male civil servant looks around and wonders where the two rookies are. At that moment, Maru and Seonwoo rush toward them, shouting desperately not to close the door, but it slams shut again before anyone can react. Maru grabs his head in frustration, wondering why the others have come. Miss Yoon asks what has happened, and the team approaches the locked room. Kang tries cutting the door with a demon sword, but it does not move. Then Miss Yoon uses a special spider with friction ability, hoping it can unlock the door. A moment later, the spider crawls back into Miss Yoon's hand. She explains that the opening is too small for the spider to work, and complains that bringing it along is tiring. Maru watches in surprise because the way she treats the spider looks like someone caring for a beloved pet. Seonwoo crosses his arms and tells the male civil servant to stop standing around and show what he can do. The man calmly replies that he has no attacking ability, which makes Maru mock him as useless in this situation. The civil servant becomes annoyed and reminds Maru that he has absorbed the Rakshasa's reflection ability, suggesting that he should try using it. Maru explains that he cannot see the demon clearly and that it is too far away for his ability to work. While the two continue arguing, Seonwoo asks Miss Yoon whether anyone else from the office might come to help them. Miss Yoon replies that the captain has gone away for training and will not return until the next day. Suddenly, the male civil servant remembers another specialist named Kim Yibak, who has quietly arrived without anyone noticing. Yibak explains that he comes because everyone is late and he wants to check the situation. He looks through the keyhole but then strangely lies down and falls asleep, leaving everyone confused about his abilities. Feeling frustrated, Maru and Seonwoo realize that none of the people around them seem able to help. The group begins discussing what to do next, and someone suggests waiting until the captain returns. Maru becomes nervous at the thought of staying inside the house with the demon all night. As they wonder why the demon is not moving, the house suddenly begins to shake. Kang notices the movement first and opens the bedroom door, realizing that the walls are slowly shrinking. Seonwoo finally understands that the demon's power is to trap them while the house collapses around them. As the demon's head splits into several parts, Maru realizes they will all be crushed if they do not destroy it quickly, and sweat pours down his face in fear. 4 years earlier, the house actually feels calm for once, like life is not out here trying to ruin everything. A young boy is in the garden, putting in effort alongside who looks like his grandmother, and back then, Kang is still young with short hair, far from the hardened version she turns into later. The moment the kid spots her pulling up, he lights up and runs straight to her without hesitation. Kang Chana greets him warmly, while the grandmother brings her inside like family. No distance, no awkwardness. That night, all 3 of them sleep in the same room under one blanket, close and simple, the kind of peace that does not last long in this world. The boy cannot fall asleep, so he quietly leans toward his sister and admits he wishes every night could be like this, steady and safe, instead of whatever mess life usually throws at them. Then he asks her to promise she will come visit during her university break, holding on to that small hope like it is something solid. She smiles, soft and real, then pats his head and tells him she understands, keeping it gentle like she knows he needs that reassurance. A little later, she notices a drawing on the wall and lightly teases him, saying that messy work might get him in trouble with their grandmother. The kid immediately pushes back, almost offended, and proudly explains that their grandmother actually praises it because it shows their happy family, like that picture means more than it looks. Then the memory cuts off, and reality comes back in cold. That same drawing is now just a faded stain on the wall, barely holding on, just like everything else in that house. The room starts collapsing in on itself, and Kang stands there shaking, clearly not ready to accept any of it. Instead of backing down, she bites into her own hand until blood spills, then uses it to form a sword, forcing control where there is none. She drives it into the wall to stop the space from shrinking, but the blade starts cracking under the pressure like it knows this is too much. Still, she keeps pushing, dumping more power into it while dark veins crawl across her neck and face, looking like her body is about to give up before she does. Jiwon snaps, telling her to stop before she kills herself over this, but Kang is locked in and not listening. Before things go completely off the rails, Maru steps in, grabs her, and pulls her back by force. The sword shatters, and Kang drops, drained and broken. Tears fill her eyes as memories hit all at once, not gentle, more like they are dragging her down. The others finally understand she burned herself out using too much power. Jiwon then explains quietly that this used to be her grandmother's house, and years ago both her grandmother and little brother died here during a demon attack, the exact moment her powers first showed up. Kang stays silent for a bit, then admits she never left because she is waiting. Maru does not get it, but she explains anyway, saying she is waiting for the Rakshasa that killed her family, convinced it will come back eventually. When he presses her on how she is so sure, she explains those memories never stay buried. That night keeps replaying, clear as ever, with her hiding and watching a demon that does not act like the others. It looks like a tall lizard with a heavy build and sharp yellow eyes, something that does not just kill for the sake of it. According to her, that thing thinks, plans, moves with purpose, and when demons flood the human world again, she is sure it will return to this house like unfinished business. Maru then wonders why someone as strong as Kang, who reaches level 7 ability, still remains in the local team instead of moving to headquarters. Kang asks if he is disappointed because she only cares about hunting the demon that destroys her family. Maru quickly denies this and honestly admits that he has no noble reason for doing the job and mainly stays because the salary is good. Kang smiles slightly and mentions that he might join headquarters one day since they pay even more. Maru is shocked that she knows about the offer, and she explains that she sees him speaking with someone earlier. Before they can continue the conversation, the house suddenly begins shaking again. Everyone rushes into the hallway while the walls slowly move. They are already exhausted after spending the entire night trapped inside. When the house shakes again, Maru tries to wake the sleeping specialist Kim Yibak. The man suddenly wakes up and calmly explains that his hidden spore ability has finally activated, forcing the demon to come out. However, many smaller Rakshasa suddenly appear behind it, revealing that the creature is not alone. As the demons rush forward to attack, the group realizes they are now facing level 7 enemies and wonders how they can possibly survive. As the demons rush in like they got no fear and no manners, the group spreads out fast, everybody locking in because standing still right now is just asking to get folded. Kang steps up and takes charge, keeping her voice steady while telling everyone to stay sharp, and at the same time the male civil servant throws up his friction barrier, setting a shield like he knows things are about to get ugly. The Rakshasa come from every side, wild and relentless, no clean openings, just straight pressure. Kang steps in and swings, slicing one of those lizard freaks clean in half, but the hallway is tight, and her blade slams into the wall and gets jammed, real bad timing hitting like always. Before she can even fix it, another Rakshasa jumps straight onto the blade and lunges at her, mouth wide, ready to rip through her like she is nothing. Maru does not think twice. He just moves, jumps in, and clamps down on the demon's neck, dragging it off her like a straight savage. The fight only gets nastier, and now the ceiling starts shaking like the whole place is about to drop on their heads. Maru taps into that reflection ability and forces the ceiling up, locking himself into some stiff, weird stance that looks dumb as hell but still keeps everything from collapsing. Even the civil servant gives him credit, low-key impressed even if the pose looks like a joke. Another demon tries to sneak Maru, but before it can even get close, its head gets cut clean off by Sionwoo, who tells him straight to stay behind the barrier since he is still new to this chaos. Funny enough, Sionwoo barely finishes talking before he gets mobbed, with lizards piling onto him like they finally found someone to dog. Before they can do real damage, thick spider threads rip through them, and that is when Jiwon finally stops playing. That little spider she had turns into a massive beast, moving nasty and tearing through Rakshasa like it is personal. The civil servant calls it out, telling Sionwoo to back Kang while they hold it down for Maru. Kang yanks her sword free and gets right back to work, cutting through demons fast and clean, like she has been waiting for this. While all that is going on, Maru and the civil servant clock something off. More lizards keep crawling out of the same room like it is an endless supply. That is when Maru connects the dots, and without wasting time, he bolts toward that room. The others look confused, but he shouts for them to clear the way, no hesitation in his voice. Sionwoo and Kang push forward, carving space, and Maru rushes in, then freezes for a second when he sees what is inside. The room is packed with twisted heads, all twitching and buzzing together, straight nightmare fuel. In the center, the real Rakshasa is just chilling, pumping out clones non-stop while hiding safe like a coward. That pisses him off instantly. The thing is not fighting, it is sending copies to do the dirty work, acting slick. The demon does not even acknowledge him, just keeps multiplying like it does not care. That is enough. Maru snaps, raises his hands, and uses that reflection power again, grabbing control of the ceiling above. He makes it clear the demon is done hiding, then slams his hands down with everything he has, forcing the ceiling to collapse hard. The whole place starts coming down, and he runs out fast before it buries him too. Outside, the team is already yelling, and right as it crashes, Sionwoo grabs his hand and yanks him out in time. Once the dust settles, the tension finally drops a bit. Jiwon gives him his respect, saying he handled that ability way better and stepped up heavy since that mountain fight. Maru lets out a dry laugh and brushes it off, not trying to gas himself up, even though he just saved all of them from getting crushed like it was nothing. Meanwhile, Kang quietly looks back at the hallway as the yellow dust slowly disappears. Memories of the happy times she once shares in that house with her grandmother and younger brother fill her mind. Seeing her expression, Maru believes that the demon responsible for her tragedy is finally gone. He then makes another decision and bends down to devour the demon's body to absorb its power. Using the remaining energy inside the house, he pushes the shrinking wall back slightly. Although it moves only a little, it is enough to stop the collapse. Kang gently holds his hand and thanks him. Later, back at the office, the team leader returns from Busan with gifts but finds the office completely empty. After searching each room in confusion, he receives a call from Director Ildo asking why Maru refuses a transfer to headquarters. Looking at the exhausted team sleeping together after the battle, the leader replies that Maru probably grows attached to the Ganghwa team. A bright flash slams into Maru's body out of nowhere, breaking apart like shattered glass, and someone nearby calls his name like things just went bad real fast. 7 hours earlier, Maru is dragging himself to work, yawning like life already beat him down before the day even started. Back when he was a student, he stressed about not getting a job, but now he knows the truth. Working hits harder, especially when his body is still messed up from that last fight with the Rakshasa. Then a loud horn cuts through his thoughts, and a clean luxury sports car flies past him, with Sionwoo behind the wheel acting like he owns the road. Maru remembers the time Seonwoo reached out to him before, so for a second he thinks maybe he is being called over. He walks up, low-key, expecting a ride, but Seonwoo shuts him down cold, tells him to get lost, and drives off like he never mattered. That one stings. Maru stomps his foot, pissed, calling him out for being straight-up unfriendly. The male civil servant nearby watches the whole thing and points out how weird it is for a rookie to be flexing a car like that. Then he starts roasting Seonwoo's whole vibe, saying looks, money, and education mean nothing if the attitude is trash. They both laugh, but Maru feels that quiet embarrassment creeping in since his own social life is barely holding together. At the office, both of them walk in looking half dead, but Go Deokman greets Maru like he just leveled up in a game, calling him their new level 7 ability expert. Maru looks confused until Jiwon breaks it down, explaining that by devouring that level 7 Rakshasa, he absorbed its power. The team starts hyping him up, giving him props for that wild ability to grow stronger by consuming demons. But Seonwoo suddenly slams his hand on the table, cutting through the mood, telling everyone to focus and shooting Maru a look like he already got on his nerves. Maru just takes it, no reaction, even though it sits heavy. Not long after, Kang calls him outside. They sit on a bench, and she thanks him properly for what he did back at her grandmother's place. Maru keeps it simple, saying helping a teammate is just basic, nothing special. Then Kang gets serious, saying after thinking it through, she believes his power is way beyond some level 1 label. That hits weird. Maru suddenly feels off, like something important slipped out of his memory and he cannot grab it back. Then he notices dark smoke creeping up from the corner of a wall, and his chest tightens instantly. In his head, something forms. A massive creature with sharp yellow eyes and mouths all over its body. Something that does not look right at all. That image messes him up. His breathing gets shaky, anxiety kicking back in like it never left. His hands start trembling, and he drops the water can he is holding. Kang sees it right away and gets concerned, asking what is going on. Maru holds his head, trying to keep it together, explaining that sometimes those messed up memories come back out of nowhere. Kang does not panic. She just grabs his hand gently and steadies him, reminding him he is safe and not alone right now. That moment hits different, and Maru ends up blushing a little, not even hiding it well. Then Go Deokman suddenly shows up and throws a comment out of nowhere, asking if they are out here dating during work hours. The whole vibe turns awkward fast. Maru shuts it down immediately, while Kang stays calm and says with Rakshasa attacks coming, thinking about dating is pointless. That one lands harder than expected, and Maru just holds it in. Later, they head up the mountain to check a dust monitor. Kang focuses on the readings while Maru follows behind, counting down the time until work is done. Then her phone rings. Urgent. Another civil servant reports that Go Deokman has been attacked. The call cuts off mid-sentence, leaving both of them standing there, knowing things just went sideways again. Soon they notice the yellow dust beneath their feet moving. From the dust emerges a strange lizard-like Rakshasa with a large hollow opening in its head. To their surprise, the creature calmly greets them and asks if it can talk with them for a moment. Maru turns to Kang the second he hears the Rakshasa talk, clearly thrown off, then realizes the creature is speaking in their own language, like this is normal for it. Kang keeps her voice low and explains it, while the demon just stands there, calm, steady, like it is not even in a fight. It straight up says there is no need for hostility, claiming it does not want smoke and only wants to talk. Maru catches on to that and sees it as a rare opening, because humans barely know anything about Rakshasa even though they keep getting wrecked by them. Ignoring Kang telling him to stay sharp, he steps forward anyway and asks where it came from. The demon answers without hesitation, saying a place called Naraka. When Maru presses for what that even is, the Rakshasa breaks it down cold, calling it an abyss, basically hell, where people who lived messed up lives get thrown into darkness and forced to fight forever. That lands heavy. The idea that these things were once human hits both of them hard. Maru instantly remembers he has devoured multiple Rakshasa before, and that realization turns his stomach. The thought alone makes him sick, and he ends up throwing up right there, no control over it. The Rakshasa then lifts its hand like it is running the conversation and says it has a question too. Kang is not buying any of this. She grabs Maru's arm and tells him to cut it out, reminding him this same demon already went after their team earlier. She pulls out her sword and moves in fast. No more talking. The Rakshasa raises its hand again, saying it does not like violence, but that line means nothing here. Kang swings anyway. Then the demon drops a name, her younger brother. That one hits deep. The moment those words land, Kang freezes, and the memory crashes back in, her brother dying while trying to protect her. It is too much. Her body gives out, and she collapses, completely shaken. Maru rushes in and catches her, confused, trying to process what just happened. Meanwhile, the Rakshasa stands there smiling in a twisted way, like this was all part of the plan from the start. That is when it clicks for Maru. This thing is not just fighting physically, it is messing with their heads. The demon keeps talking, pushing further, mocking Kang for still being stuck on her dead family, dragging her pain out in the open like it is nothing. That crosses a line. Maru snaps. He charges in and lands a solid punch straight to its face, knocking it flat. He moves in again, ready to follow up and finish it. Then the demon switches targets and says something dirty, bringing up how Maru once got rejected by a woman. That one hits just as hard. His body locks up instantly, like something invisible just stabbed straight through him. The pain hits sharp, and he coughs up blood, struggling to stay upright. Still, he forces himself to think straight, reminding himself he cannot lose it right now. He looks at Kang and realizes he never even saw her that way. Just respect, nothing else. Kang quietly apologizes, and that only shakes him more, because now the attack is digging deeper than it should. The Rakshasa casually picks up a stone, still talking, still mocking, saying emotions are what make humans weak, and that it never felt any of that even back when it was human. Maru finally gets it. As long as someone feels something, fear, regret, pain, they are open to getting played like this. That is the demon's real weapon, and if that is true, then it makes sense how someone as strong as Go Diokman still got taken down. The demon raises the stone and prepares to strike Maru down. Just as the attack is about to happen, the demon's neck suddenly twists with a loud crack. A pair of black-gloved hands appears, revealing Sionwoo standing behind it. Sionwoo looks annoyed and asks Maru what he is doing lying there helplessly. Seeing Maru injured makes him even angrier. The demon, however, still laughs and claims its body is not so easy to kill. Hearing this arrogant response makes both Maru and Sionwoo furious, and they prepare themselves to continue the fight against the stubborn Rakshasa. Maru and Sionwoo stand together to face the demon. Maru quickly explains that the creature can read memories and attack people through their painful experiences, so they have to be careful. Sionwoo ignores the warning and coldly replies that he does not need advice from someone he considers incompetent. He tells Maru to step aside and let him handle the fight. Maru feels irritated by Sionwoo's arrogant attitude, thinking that his behavior is almost as annoying as the demon itself. Even so, Maru decides he has to keep trying and support him. Sionwoo steps forward and begins breaking the demon's bones one by one, crushing its fingers and forcing its legs to buckle. Despite the damage, the demon continues mocking him and claims that recognition and respect are far beyond his reach. Sionwoo appears calm and unaffected at first, continuing to break the creature's limbs without hesitation. Then the demon begins speaking about Sionwoo's painful past, reminding him of the day he sees his mother take her own life after being abandoned by his father. Hearing this shocks Maru, who realizes that Sionwoo also carries deep emotional wounds. He has always assumed Sionwoo grows up comfortably in a wealthy family, but that belief is wrong. Even someone who seems emotionally distant can still suffer from such memories. The demon's words slowly push Sionwoo toward his limit. However, Sionwoo suddenly smiles and declares that survival belongs only to the strong. He jumps forward, grabs the demon by the throat, and begins strangling it. Even while choking, the demon mocks him again and claims that he is weaker than Maru. Those words strike Sionwoo deeply. A sharp mental attack suddenly appears again and shoots toward his chest. At that moment, Maru steps forward and blocks the attack with his own wrist, preventing it from reaching Sionwoo. The demon calmly explains that its usual strategy is to knock victims unconscious with a mental spear and then stab them in the heart. Before it can continue speaking, Kang suddenly rushes forward and slices off the demon's tongue. Afterward, she quickly turns around and asks if both of them are all right. Maru feels amazed by her strength, but he forces himself to stay focused. He supports Sionwoo and tries to calm him down, noticing how shaken he has become after hearing the demon's cruel words. Maru secretly admires Sionwoo, but he is also surprised to realize that he sometimes feels jealous of him. Trying to bring Sionwoo back to his senses, Maru kicks him lightly and shouts for him to wake up and ignore the demon's cruel words. Maru reminds him that even if the demon tries to insult them, both of them are still capable fighters. Hearing those words helps Sionwoo regain his composure, and he quickly returns to his usual confident attitude. Meanwhile, Kang watches the demon in front of them and suggests that they should finish the fight quickly before darkness falls, because fighting in the forest at night will put them at a disadvantage. The demon's long tongue keeps moving dangerously, making it difficult for anyone to approach. Kang suggests that she should attack while the demon can no longer speak, but Seonwoo stops her and tells her to stay back because she is still injured. Maru notices that Kang's wounds have not healed properly and realizes that the demon's earlier mental attack has weakened her recovery. Determined to help, Maru decides to create an opportunity. He runs through the forest while the demon chases him, waving its tongue wildly as it follows. Maru believes that this is his chance to use a new demonic power he has gained. Seonwoo warns him that the ability will only work properly in a closed space. At that moment, a white car appears nearby. Seonwoo opens the door and calls for Maru to come quickly. Maru jumps over a fence and rushes into the car, pretending to invite the demon inside as well. The demon follows him into the vehicle. Just as the door closes, Maru slips out of the car, though the demon's tongue still manages to slash his body as he escapes. The demon then tries to flee, but suddenly countless copies of Maru appear inside the car. The clones grab the creature and drag it deeper inside, biting and tearing at it from every direction until it can no longer escape. The demon screams loudly as countless copies of Maru attack it inside the car, biting and tearing its body again and again. Outside, Seonwoo knocks on the car and impatiently asks how long Maru plans to stay inside and why the demon has not escaped yet. Kang walks closer and also wonders what is happening in there. Inside the car, the demon is still laughing and tries to talk, telling Maru to stop attacking and suggesting that they should talk calmly instead of acting violently like Maru's father. Those words make Maru freeze for a moment. He suddenly remembers a painful childhood scene where his father grabs him by the collar and lifts him up while he cries helplessly. The demon continues asking how Maru feels after his father disappears, and the images of his father and the demon seem to overlap in his mind. Realizing the demon is attacking his memories again, Maru strikes his own head to force himself to stay focused. Blood begins to drip from his ears as he struggles to resist the mental attack. Maru then speaks firmly, saying the demon should stop playing with other people's pain. The demon tries to speak again, but Maru raises his hand and decides that if he simply refuses to listen, the creature's power becomes useless. He covers the demon's mouth tightly with his hand. Moments later, the car explodes with a powerful blast. Kang shouts in shock and tries to rush forward, but Seonwoo quickly pulls her back to keep her safe. After the explosion, blood spills everywhere, and the strange yellow dust in the air slowly disappears. Kang realizes the dust has faded and immediately runs to the destroyed car with Seonwoo to search through the wreckage. She desperately tries to find Maru among the debris, but Seonwoo tells her it is already too late and believes Maru must be dead. Kang refuses to accept that and insists that if they pull him out before the dust completely vanishes, he might still recover. Without hesitation, she begins digging through the broken metal with her bare hands. Seeing her determination, Seonwoo also starts helping, even while complaining that Maru has caused trouble again. Meanwhile, Maru's mind sinks into deep darkness where he curls up like a small child, unable to feel anything in his body anymore. Maru feels unable to think clearly and wonders if he has already died. His mind keeps returning to the last words the demon seems ready to say before the explosion, something that sounds like a mission meant for him. Confused about what that mission could be, Maru slowly opens his eyes. Suddenly, the demon's voice seems to shout for him to wake up, and Maru jerks awake in shock. Inside his body, something strange is happening, as if a powerful force is trying to tear through his shirt. An arm covered with sharp claws pushes outward, and then a huge monster with many mouths slowly appears from within him. Maru becomes terrified and wonders where he is. The creature moves closer and speaks as if Maru should remember it. Fear floods Maru's mind as memories from his childhood return. He remembers seeing a horrible monster with many heads, teeth, and mouths that look thirsty for blood. As a child, he hides behind his father and cries that it is a monster. His father grabs him by the collar, lifts him up, and tells him he must fight instead of running away. Maru asks why, but his father coldly replies that Maru has special abilities and needs to become strong. Maru struggles and begs to be let go, but his father ignores him and throws him forward toward the monster. Meanwhile, in the real world, Seonwoo notices some remaining yellow dust and thinks it might still save Maru. He moves his hands and slowly pulls the wrecked car apart. Inside, they finally see Maru kneeling with his body covered in blood. Seonwoo soon realizes the yellow dust is almost gone and turns away in frustration. Kang collapses beside Maru, holding his hand and calling his name desperately. To their shock, yellow dust suddenly begins pouring out of Maru's nose and mouth. It looks as if the dust is coming directly from his body, just like a demon's power. Maru is somehow coming back to life as the wounds in his body release streams of glowing yellow dust. Seonwoo and Kang stare at Maru in shock because his body has completely healed. After a few moments, Maru collapses on the ground and falls into a deep sleep. The two teammates stand silently, not knowing what to say. Suddenly, Seonwoo loses his patience, kicks Maru, and demands to know what he has done. Maru wakes up in pain and angrily asks what the problem is. Seonwoo grabs his collar and accuses him of releasing yellow dust like the demons, asking if that strange power is his ability. Maru feels confused and begins thinking about his past. He remembers that since childhood he has possessed the strange ability to devour spirits, and his father has forced him to relive painful memories again and again. Maru wishes he could meet his father and ask why he has done such cruel things. As he thinks about this, a sharp pain strikes his chest and he collapses again. Seonwoo becomes worried and asks what is wrong, but Kang stops him and says Maru simply needs rest. She reminds him that this secret is known only to the three of them. Seonwoo angrily questions how they can return to headquarters without understanding what has happened. Kang calmly replies that they still do not know why Maru produces the yellow dust. Seonwoo wonders if Maru might be as dangerous as a demon, but Kang says she believes he will not harm anyone. Seeing Maru lying unconscious, Seonwoo finally agrees to leave the matter for now. Later on the subway, Maru sits quietly, feeling weak and frightened that he might become a monster. When he looks at the window, he suddenly imagines the monster again and screams. The male civil servant behind him complains about the noise, and Maru realizes it is Nam Yosak. Trying to calm himself, Maru asks if they can talk later, but Nam Yosako quickly refuses, saying he does not want to meet colleagues after work. Maru feels lonely and believes he might be the least comfortable member of the team. Soon, Nam Yosak receives a phone call from Kim Wooju. Later at a bar, a drunk civil servant argues with someone across the table and demands that he leave the Gyeogyang Mountain team. The man looks shy and confused. At that moment, they suddenly notice Maru standing nearby, and the civil servant wonders why Maru has followed him there. After drinking a glass of beer, Maru says he wants to relax and ease his tiredness. While talking, he asks the fat civil servant why he plans to quit his job even though they have only just met. The man sadly explains that there are serious conflicts among the members of his team. At first, he denies being bullied, but Maru quickly realizes that he has actually been treated badly because he is too gentle. Maru learns that the bullying happens in the Gyeogyang Mountain team, which makes him angry. When he asks why they treat him that way, the man quietly says that some civil servants are cruel people who are even worse than ghosts. Hearing this reminds Maru of Seonwoo's warning about becoming like a devil, and he wonders if he might someday turn into someone like them. Later, Maru and the other civil servant help carry the drunk man back home. The place turns out to be his parents' noodle shop. When they reach the door, the civil servant suddenly becomes pale with fear. Inside the shop, 3 people are sitting. One of them approaches, mocks the man, and kicks him hard in the stomach. The attacker accuses him of trying to escape the civil servant exam and continues beating him. Seeing this, Maru grabs the attacker's arm and demands to know why a civil servant would treat another person like that. The thug asks who Maru is. Maru replies that he works with Nam Yosak in the Ganghwa team. The attacker mocks the team and kicks Maru in the face, throwing him backward. He then punches the helpless man again until blood comes from his mouth and continues insulting him for being weak. Watching this cruelty fills Maru with anger. He lowers his head, wipes the blood from his face, and loses control of his emotions. Suddenly, his demonic energy awakens, and yellow dust slowly begins to flow out of his mouth. From the outside, the restaurant still looks calm and quiet, but inside the atmosphere becomes extremely tense. Maru is filled with anger. His eyes turn red like a demon's, and yellow dust keeps flowing from his mouth. Nearby, a red-haired man holds the male civil servant down and repeatedly punches him while blaming him for reporting something to their boss that causes him to be punished. The other thugs standing nearby laugh and say they have been searching for him for a long time and never expect to find him working with the Ganghwa team. None of them notice the furious Maru standing behind them. Suddenly, the door bursts open. Before anyone understands what happens, a strong kick strikes the red-haired man in the face and sends him flying. The attacker is Seonwoo. He calmly announces that he belongs to the Ganghwa team and immediately warns Maru to stop releasing the yellow dust in that place. Startled, Maru covers his mouth and nose and asks why Seonwoo follows him. Seonwoo explains that he is worried something might happen. Earlier, while Maru talks with the male civil servant on the train, Seonwoo secretly follows him. Kang also notices and follows them. Soon Kang arrives and is shocked by the scene. She quickly checks the injured civil servant, who nods to show he is still conscious. Kang warns the attackers that she will take her teammate home first and deal with them later. However, a woman from the other group stops her and insists they cannot leave after injuring their teammate. A tall man with glasses steps forward and says the victim cannot leave yet because they still have unfinished business with him. Kang angrily asks if they want to start a conflict with special civil servants. The woman replies coldly that they are not afraid. At that moment, the red-haired man stands up again and rushes towards Sionwoo to attack him. Sionwoo does not step back and immediately prepares to fight. As the two men clash, Maru tries to rush forward to stop them, but Kang quickly holds him back and warns him to be careful, leaving Maru confused about what she means. At that moment, Kang quickly grabs a broom that is standing in the corner of the restaurant. Nearby, Sionwoo is being held down by the man wearing glasses, while the red-haired thug lifts a chair and prepares to smash it on him. Before the attack lands, the broom suddenly flies across the room and strikes the thug hard in the side. Kang rushes forward and swings the broom like a spear. She strikes the man with glasses several times until he collapses on the floor holding his leg in pain. Kang then points the broken broom handle at the red-haired man and warns him not to move if he does not want to be beaten again. Just then, a man wearing a wrinkled suit enters and angrily asks why they are fighting. Kang is surprised and demands to know who he is. The man introduces himself as the leader of the Gaeyang Mountain team from the Special Yellow Dust Task Force. Kang feels relieved and explains that his people attacked their teammate first. However, without responding, the man suddenly punches Kang in the face and knocks her to the ground. Seeing Kang fall, Maru becomes furious, and yellow dust pours from his mouth again. Seonwoo tries to stop him, but Maru rushes forward and strikes the captain, sending him backward with blood coming from his mouth. Maru continues releasing yellow dust while Seonwoo watches helplessly. Maru quickly helps Kang up and asks if she is alright. Kang wipes the blood from her nose and warns him not to release the dust there. The captain, however, begins laughing while breathing in the yellow dust. He excitedly suggests that Maru join his team because they are people similar to him. Remembering the warning that some civil servants are worse than demons, Maru angrily rejects the offer. The man remains calm and says they cannot leave yet because the conflict between their teams is not over. He proposes that instead of fighting monsters, they should settle the matter by fighting each other like civil servants. Hearing this shocks Maru, Seonwoo, and Kang, and all three realize the people in front of them are completely insane. From the outside, the noodle shop still looks quiet and ordinary, but inside, the tension grows. The captain calmly chews a piece of wood and orders his subordinates to stand in line while he explains the rules. He announces that both sides will fight in a small competition between the two teams. If one team surrenders first, they lose. The winner decides what happens to Nam Yosok. He also warns that Maru's strange ability to release yellow dust can become a serious problem if the headquarters discovers it. If Maru's team wins, they ignore that secret and leave Nam Yosok alone. Hearing this makes Nam Yosok extremely nervous as sweat rolls down his face. Kang silently wonders what kind of captain behaves in such a strange and arrogant way. Seonwoo asks whether they can simply defeat the captain quickly and finish the situation, but Kang replies that things are too chaotic and dangerous to handle so easily. Seonwoo then steps forward, saying that fighting monsters has become boring and he is ready to fight a human opponent instead. Maru tries to stop him, but Kang agrees that they cannot step back now that the challenge has begun. She quietly tells the two of them to prolong the fight if possible, though she does not explain the reason. The captain then asks which of his men will fight first. The red-haired thug steps forward eagerly and transforms into a huge tree-like monster with roots growing from his body. The roots shoot towards Seonwoo, but Seonwoo calmly snaps a finger and the roots instantly break apart. The monster laughs and creates even more roots that wrap tightly around Seonwoo's body. However, Seonwoo shows no fear. With another small movement, he shatters the roots and grabs the red-haired man by the throat. He coldly explains that his ability allows him to break bones and joints. As he snaps another finger, the red-haired man's knee suddenly cracks and collapses under him. The red-haired man's knees collapse from the pain, but Seonwoo slightly lifts him so he does not fall unconscious. Seonwoo calmly tells him not to faint and forces him to remain standing. The man groans while Seonwoo smiles coldly and threatens to damage his neck next. As Seonwoo moves his fingers, the man suddenly feels pressure around his throat. At that moment, Kang grabs Seonwoo's arm and warns him to stop because the opponent might die. Since the fight is already decided, the red-haired man collapses to the ground in pain while the captain signals his subordinates to pull him back. The captain remains calm and announces that it is now their turn to respond. Kang comments that it has been a long time since she has seen Seonwoo fight seriously and that the match ends so quickly it barely lasts a moment. Seonwoo shrugs casually and says the opponent simply cannot endure the attack. Kang ties her hair and steps forward to ask for her opponent. The man with glasses examines her with his strange eye and predicts that her ability allows her to create weapons from her own blood. He then sends a female teammate forward. The woman pulls 2 bone weapons from her body and attacks aggressively, while bones grow from her back like spikes. Kang bites her own hand, and the flowing blood instantly forms a sword to block the attacks. During the fight, a bone strikes Kang's side, but she quickly recovers and launches several fast strikes. Within seconds, she defeats the opponent and knocks her down. Kang apologizes calmly, saying she becomes too excited during the fight. Maru admires her speed, while Xianwu mocks that she still takes too long. The opposing team is shocked that 2 fighters have already lost. The captain admits he only cares about Maru's strange power and declares that the final match will decide everything. Kang disagrees, but Maru suddenly steps forward and challenges the captain directly. Kang, Xianwu, and Nam Yosak are shocked by his bold decision. The captain laughs at the challenge while the man with glasses secretly examines Maru again and feels uneasy, sensing that Maru possesses an unknown and frightening power. The captain casually waves his hand, and the fat civil servant is pushed forward. The man looks confused and frightened, wondering why the captain calls him out. He nervously mentions his parents, clearly terrified of what might happen. The captain places a hand on his shoulder and calmly tells him that everything will be fine and that he does not need to worry. However, the next moment he pushes the fat man forward and announces that he will fight Kim Wooju, the strongest fighter on his team. Nam Yosok becomes anxious and begs the captain to stop, but the captain angrily tells him to be quiet and promises to deal with him later. He then encourages Kim Wooju and hints that winning the fight can earn him a promotion. Maru watches the situation with confusion, unable to understand why this fight is happening. Suddenly, his demonic ability activates again, allowing him to see the cruel and hateful words hidden inside Kim Wooju's mind. The thoughts are filled with insults and self-hatred, repeating that he is useless and should disappear. Realizing these are painful memories from Kim Wooju's past, Maru becomes alarmed and quickly covers his mouth because he feels those terrible words about to come out of his own mouth. Trying to suppress the power forces him to cough up blood. Despite this, the dark ability still slips out like a tongue of words and attacks Kim Wooju's heart with cruel accusations about secretly enjoying Nam Yosok's suffering. Shocked by what has happened, Maru runs forward and supports the wounded man, wondering why his power suddenly loses control. Kim Wooju weakly apologizes, though Maru does not understand why. Suddenly, blue liquid bursts from Kim Wooju's body and splashes onto Maru, burning his skin with poison. Kang shouts in alarm, but the captain stops everyone and orders them to remain still because the fight is not finished. The captain calmly explains that the poison will slowly destroy Maru's organs. Even while suffering from the pain, Maru refuses to surrender and insists that defeating the opponent will end the fight. However, the captain coldly replies that the rules of the match are not so simple and quietly prepares for the next move. Suddenly, a powerful invisible force presses Maru's body down to the ground. Kang, Xianwu, and several others are also forced down by the same crushing pressure. Xianwu struggles to breathe and realizes the force is making it hard to even move. The male civil servant explains that this is the captain's special ability, a terrifying demonic power that controls gravity at an extremely high level. The captain looks proudly at everyone kneeling helplessly before him and laughs at the sight. He seems to enjoy watching them suffer and wonders how long they can endure the pressure. As he tightens his tie, the gravity increases further. Maru's spine bends under the force, and he vomits blood from the pain. The captain notices the yellow dust floating in the air, and guesses that Maru releases more of it whenever he suffers. He becomes curious about this strange ability. Maru, despite the pain, tries to think carefully. Using his power to sense demonic energy, he attempts to find the captain's weakness. However, he discovers nothing and begins to wonder if the captain truly has no emotional weakness at all. The captain then pulls out a knife and threatens Maru, demanding to know how he produces the yellow dust. When Maru refuses to answer, the captain presses the blade toward his throat, but the knife suddenly snaps in half. At that moment, Xianwu understands something important. Kang struggles against the crushing gravity and bites her hand to form a blood blade, then forces herself to leap toward the captain. The captain calmly tightens his tie again, increasing the gravity to 20 times its normal force. Kang, Xianwu, and Nam Yosak all suffer terribly under the pressure. The captain explains that the increasing gravity will slowly cut off their oxygen and cause them to lose consciousness. Maru watches Kang struggle and calls out to her with worry. Confident that no one can stop him now, the captain prepares to continue threatening Maru. Maru slowly loses strength under the heavy gravity and fears he might faint soon. While he struggles to think of a way out, someone suddenly knocks on the door. The captain turns toward the sound and orders whoever is outside to leave. Instead, the shadow of a tall man appears behind the door. At that moment, a strange black liquid begins to flow through the doorway and spreads across the entire room. Maru does not understand what it is, but Kang quietly realizes help has finally arrived, though it has come late. Earlier, she secretly plans this situation. While helping the injured civil servant, she sends a message asking the team leader to come quickly. The person outside the door is Go Deokman. Dark demonic energy pours from his eyes like black liquid and fills the entire room. As the darkness spreads, even the captain begins to sink into it and feels confused by the strange power surrounding him. Inside the darkness, Maru can no longer see, hear, or smell anything, and it feels as if his existence is fading. Suddenly, a hand appears behind the captain and tightly grabs his neck. The captain's eyes widen before he collapses to the ground. Maru trembles in fear and soon loses consciousness as well. Afterward, Go Deokman restores his eyes and the black energy slowly disappears. Looking around at the many people lying on the floor, he confirms that the yellow dust has stopped. Kang and Seonwoo finally stand up after the gravity pressure disappears. Go Deokman angrily demands why they have not reported Maru's situation earlier and warns them that hiding such information could cost them their jobs. Kang lowers her head and apologizes, but Go Deokman refuses to ignore the incident. Later at the headquarters, Maru sits alone in an interrogation room with chains on his hands, silently worrying about his future. In another room, Director Eun announces that they need to deal with Maru immediately, but Go Deokman strongly objects. Director Eun argues that Maru's ability to produce yellow dust like a demon makes him extremely dangerous, and questions why Go Deokman is still defending him. Director Eun angrily slams her hand on the table and argues that the recent clash with the Gyeang team proves how dangerous Maru could become. She warns that if Maru ever uses his strange yellow dust ability in front of ordinary people, the situation could become disastrous. Go Deokman immediately rejects this claim and insists that the fight starts because the Gyeang team attacks first. He then looks at Director Ildo and complains that the captain of that team is known for accepting violent and unstable people. Go Deokman even questions whether allowing such a psychopath to become a captain is the director's responsibility. Director Eun becomes furious and scolds him for speaking that way, but Director Ildo calmly stops the argument and says personality does not matter for civil servants, as long as they are strong enough to fight demons. In his opinion, even someone unstable can still be valuable if they have useful abilities. Go Deokman responds that Maru should be treated the same way because his power is also important in battles against demons. He adds that Kang and Seonwoo can watch over Maru because the three of them work closely together. Director Ildo then asks whether Go Deokman will accept responsibility if Maru causes trouble again, and Go Deokman firmly agrees. After the meeting, Kang and Go Deokman leave the room, while Seonwoo is asked to stay behind. Outside, Maru anxiously follows them and asks about the decision. Go Deokman explains that the punishment will only be 3 months of reduced salary, which means they are actually lucky. Maru feels shocked but relieved. Meanwhile, inside the office, Director Ildo secretly orders Seonwoo to eliminate Maru if he ever loses control again. Seonwoo laughs at the idea, but Director Ildo clarifies that this is not a request from a father but a direct order from a director, because someone who can produce yellow dust like a demon might one day become an enemy. Outside the headquarters, however, Maru and Go Deokman are still talking casually, completely unaware of the dangerous decision that has just been made. When Maru arrives at Go Deokman's private house, he is shocked by how messy it looks. Clothes are scattered across the table and sofa, and the kitchen sink is filled with dirty dishes. Maru quietly wonders if this is really how the Manhwa team is managed. Go Deokman soon appears wearing bright floral shorts and tells Maru that from now on he will live there with him. Maru feels awkward and asks if that is really necessary. Go Deokman explains that it is the safest way to watch him closely and prevent any trouble. He adds with excitement that they will spend almost all their time together, both at work and after work, so he can monitor him at all times. Maru secretly thinks that such an arrangement sounds completely crazy. The next day at the office, the atmosphere is tense. Some teammates stare at Maru nervously, especially Ji-won, who warns him not to release any yellow dust inside the office. Another civil servant tries to calm the situation, but makes an awkward comment that only annoys Maru more. Go Diakman even checks Maru's mouth whenever he sighs, worried that yellow dust might appear. Feeling embarrassed and suffocated by the constant suspicion, Maru leaves the room to get some air. In the restroom, he meets Sionwoo and remembers Director Ildo's words that someone who produces yellow dust might become an enemy. Seeing Sionwoo's cold expression makes Maru angry, but Sionwoo simply says that Maru's situation has nothing to do with him. Maru feels confused because Sionwoo usually acts more hostile than that. Later, Kang arrives with Kim Wooju and greets Maru kindly. Kim Wooju politely thanks Kang for guiding him as a new member of the team. Kang also tries to comfort Maru, explaining that people are only afraid because they worry they might not be able to protect him if something goes wrong. Maru understands the concern but still feels frustrated because he is treated like a dangerous creature. Back at his desk, he quietly works with documents, realizing that Go Diakman's promise to take responsibility also means that Maru will be kept away from field missions for now. One day, two tall and muscular men suddenly enter the office. Maru does not recognize them and politely asks who they are. Before anyone can answer, the man wearing a red vest rushes forward and punches Maru directly in the face. He grabs Maru by the collar and excitedly demands that Maru release the yellow dust ability. Remembering Kang's warning not to cause trouble, Maru tries to stay calm and controls himself. The aggressive man continues provoking him and threatens to ruin his face if he does not transform. However, the second man, wearing a black vest, suddenly kicks his partner away from Maru. The man in black then politely helps Maru stand up and apologizes for the rude behavior. He explains that they come from headquarters to check on Maru. According to him, the man in red only comes because he is curious and admires Maru's unusual ability. Hearing this, the red-vested man quickly changes his attitude and enthusiastically praises Maru, even calling him King Maru because he believes Maru's yellow dust power is extraordinary. Maru feels confused by the strange compliment. Later, Maru goes to the mountain with Kim Wooju to inspect a machine. They discover the device is broken, and Kim nervously admits that he accidentally damages it earlier but has been too afraid to report it. Maru reassures him that the Gangwa team does not punish honest mistakes. While they are talking, yellow dust suddenly appears nearby and a Rakshasa monster emerges. Kim becomes frightened and blames himself, but Maru calmly explains that the amount of dust suggests it is only a weak level 1 demon. Feeling confident, Maru rushes forward and attacks the creature using his devouring ability, quickly biting its artery and defeating it. Kim admires the speed of the fight. However, Maru soon realizes something strange. The monster's body suddenly splits apart and begins to change. Instead of dying, it transforms into a stronger form and evolves into a level 2 Rakshasa, leaving Maru shocked by the unexpected change. Maru struggles to breathe as he watches the strange Rakshasa in front of him grow stronger. The creature's body changes quickly, evolving from a small form into a much larger and more dangerous one. Kim Wooju becomes frightened and asks what they should do. The demon has already reached around level 6 and is still getting stronger. Kim tries to run away to call the others for help, but his movement attracts the monster's attention. Maru shouts for him to be careful as the Rakshasa suddenly rushes toward him with incredible speed. The creature swings its fist at Kim, and in panic, Kim accidentally releases a burst of demonic power that damages the monster's skin and exposes its bones. Maru notices the change and quickly realizes the terrifying truth. Every time the Rakshasa receives heavy damage, its body splits and evolves into a stronger form. Looking closely, Maru sees several star-like marks on the monster's chest. Each time it evolves, one mark disappears. From this, he guesses the creature might continue evolving until it reaches level 10. Understanding the danger, Maru tells Kim to run and call the rest of the team while he tries to hold the monster back. Kim hesitates, but Maru encourages him not to worry and to trust that he can handle the situation for a short time. After Kim leaves, Maru rushes toward the Rakshasa with determination. He believes that because he has absorbed the power of other demons before, he might become stronger if he survives a fatal wound, just like the monster does. Maru punches toward the creature's head, but it easily dodges. The demon has become far faster and stronger than before. In the next moment, it strikes Maru hard in the stomach, causing intense pain. Even while suffering, Maru continues thinking carefully. If he wants to defeat this enemy, he will have to discover its weakness and possibly evolve in the same way. The lizard-like monster then grabs Maru's arm and lifts him into the air, preparing for another attack. Maru coughs up blood and feels as if several bones in his body are broken. He wonders why his body has not changed yet, despite the damage. Looking at the star-like marks on the monster's chest, he guesses that his healing ability might be working too quickly, preventing the evolution he expects from happening. While he is thinking, the Rakshasa lifts its fist and prepares to strike him again. In desperation, Maru shouts for the creature to hit him harder, hoping a fatal wound might trigger his power. At that moment, Kim Wooju rushes back to help him. Maru quickly tries to stop him, but it is already too late. Kim releases poison toward the demon, yet the creature shows no real damage. Instead, it swings its arm and strikes Kim violently in the head several times. Seeing this, Maru rushes forward and grabs the monster, biting its neck with all his strength to stop the attack. He then runs to Kim and asks if he is still alive. Kim weakly apologizes and says the situation is his fault because he has been too cowardly earlier. Maru tells him they need to escape immediately, but Kim soon loses consciousness in his arms. Realizing Kim will die if left there, Maru decides he has to finish the battle alone. He removes his vest and tie and prepares himself for a final attack. Watching the monster carefully, he calculates that it still has 3 evolutions left and must not reach level 10. Maru rushes forward and repeatedly punches the creature's chest, aiming to destroy its heart before it can evolve again. The chest bursts open and the heart becomes visible. Believing he has a chance, Maru tries to devour the heart. However, the Rakshasa suddenly pierces Maru's chest with its hand, making him spit blood and collapse. The monster's wound slowly heals, showing it has already evolved again. The creature grabs Maru by the head, spins him through the air, and throws him far away. As it begins walking toward the unconscious Kim, Maru desperately shouts in fear. Maru tries to shout, but no sound comes out as he falls down the cliff. His body slowly turns gray like stone, almost like a statue. After a moment, a new Maru revives, and the first thing he remembers is the Rakshasa heading toward Kim Wooju. Without wasting time, he runs back quickly, silently praying that Kim is still alive. The demon's evolution speed is terrifying, and Maru fears he might already be too late. When he returns to the battlefield, he cannot see Kim anywhere. He calls his name loudly and searches the area in confusion. The yellow dust demon is also gone. While he is looking around, his phone suddenly rings. The tracking application shows that the monster has moved to another place in District 12 and has already reached level 8. Go Deokman calls him at the same time and asks if he has seen a high-level demon. Maru confirms it, but before he can explain more, the call ends. He knows the others will come soon, so he decides to find Kim first and move him somewhere safe. While moving through the bushes, he hears a warning alarm and suddenly discovers Kim Wooju lying unconscious on the ground. Maru rushes to him and checks his body, but his hands are immediately covered in blood. The amount of blood shocks him. Realizing the situation is critical, Maru uses his yellow dust ability in a desperate attempt to heal Kim. Yellow dust pours from his mouth as he begs Kim to wake up, but Kim's hand slowly drops and he stops responding. Maru hugs him tightly in grief before gently covering his body with his own shirt. After that, he stands up and walks away with determination, deciding to hunt the demon. At the same time, Kang has already climbed the mountain and reports the situation to Go Deokman. He is driving toward the location quickly and warns her not to fight alone. Suddenly, a massive wave of yellow dust spreads across the mountain, shaking the area so strongly that people in the nearby streets rush outside to see what is happening. Kang feels the powerful energy and realizes it is connected to Maru. Go Deokman, seeing the data from the sensors, becomes terrified and shouts that a level 10 demon might have appeared in Manhwa. He knows that if they fail to stop it immediately, the entire area will be in serious danger. The male civil servant holds his head in panic, while Kim Yabak quickly covers his mouth and signals for him to stay quiet. Seonwoo is also urging the driver to move faster, but another teammate is delayed by a red light. Meanwhile, Kang rushes up the mountain alone because she believes there is no time to wait for the others. She knows she has to stop the demon before it reaches the nearby populated area. While moving through the empty landscape, she suddenly notices the shadow of a person standing ahead. At first, she thinks she has found the demon, but when she gets closer, she realizes it is Maru. Maru immediately warns her to stay back and not approach. Kang is shocked and demands to know what he is planning. Maru insists that she should leave because he intends to defeat the demon himself. Kang grabs his shoulder and asks him to calm down and explain the situation clearly. Maru tells her that the demon they are facing has the ability to evolve into a stronger form every time it receives fatal damage. Hearing this surprises Kang because such evolution is extremely dangerous. As the yellow dust around them shifts, the demon's huge muscular body appears from the dust. Kang questions whether Maru truly believes he can fight such a creature alone. Maru picks up a tree branch and declares that he has to kill the demon no matter what happens. Suddenly, he lifts the branch and stabs it into his own chest. Blood splashes across Kang's face as Maru collapses, shocking her. When she looks closer, she realizes his body shows signs of many previous fatal wounds. While she is still confused, the demon suddenly rushes toward her from behind. Kang quickly raises her arm to defend herself, but before the attack lands, Maru appears again and blocks the demon's fist. His expression turns cold and determined. The demon grabs Maru by the neck and slams him violently into the ground, causing the sandy earth around them to break apart. Godiokman finally reaches the mountain and feels frustrated, wondering why such a situation has happened. Suddenly, a loud sound echoes across the area, drawing everyone's attention. Kang is shocked by what she sees in front of her, as Maru looks completely different from how she has known him before. Maru has already broken free from the demon's grip and strikes it hard in the face before charging forward again. His face shows no emotion at all, which makes Kang uneasy because she has never seen him like this. Maru continues attacking, but the demon's arm heals quickly and returns to normal within seconds. The demon then hits Maru strongly in the chest, throwing him back into a cliff. Kang tries to rush toward him in panic, but Godiokman stops her and warns her not to interfere because the enemy is a level 10 demon and far too dangerous. He questions why Maru is even there, since he is supposed to be at home, and grows visibly angry. At headquarters, the director is informed about a high-level demon appearing in Gangwa, and additional teams are sent to assist. Another senior officer recalls how a similar incident 2 years earlier caused heavy losses, but Director Ildo remains calm and believes the current team can handle it, especially with Godiokman and Maru present. Back on the mountain, Maru stands up from the rubble and rushes toward the demon again. Godiokman notices something is wrong with him and tries to stop him, but Maru ignores the warning. He attacks again, and this time both he and the demon throw punches at the same moment. The impact shatters Maru's arm instantly, and the demon grabs his neck. Seeing this, Godiokman realizes the situation is getting worse and prepares to use his own demonic power to intervene. Maru suddenly wraps his legs tightly around the demon's waist and forces his broken arm into its mouth. In his mind, he realizes that his recovery speed has increased because his arm begins healing very quickly even while attacking. Soon his entire hand pushes through and pierces the demon's skull. Godiokman watches in shock and fear, unable to believe that Maru can damage such a powerful monster with his bare hands. To make sure it cannot survive, Maru bites deeply into its neck and tears its artery. Kang sees this and understands that the demon will no longer recover. Maru forces the demon down onto the ground and keeps hitting its face again and again without control. Godiokman rushes forward and tells him to stop, but Kang steps in and uses her sword to cut off the demon's head, finally ending the fight. Maru then looks at his blood-covered hands and begins to shake. Kang walks over and hugs him, gently telling him that everything has ended. Soon, Seonwoo and Jiwon arrive and are surprised to see the situation. They realize that it is Maru, not the captain or Kang, who defeated the level 10 demon alone, which shocks them deeply. Maru stands there quietly, looking empty and lost while Kang holds him. Later, at Kim Wooju's funeral, his family and teammates are filled with sadness as they come to pay their respects. Everyone looks deeply affected, especially one of the male civil servants who cannot hide his grief. Outside, Kang speaks to Godiokman, who is sitting on the ground and still looks troubled. He says he still cannot forget what has happened. Kang asks about how Kim Wooju's case has been handled, and Godiokman explains that headquarters has already taken care of everything. He says that Kim's body has remained intact and has not been eaten, but the area itself is no longer safe. Kang then informs him that Maru has not contacted anyone and has left a resignation letter before disappearing. She asks for some time so she can try to convince him to return. However, Godiokman says that Maru will not come back because he understands this feeling very well. He explains that in the past, when he is in Seoul, a similar battle against a high-level demon causes all his teammates to die, leaving him as the only survivor. He says that seeing his comrades die like that leaves him with deep pain and hopelessness. After saying this, he slowly walks away. Meanwhile, Maru is alone in his small room, lying on the floor surrounded by many empty beer cans. Suddenly, a crack appears on the wall, and from that crack, a bloody arm slowly pushes through, tearing open the space and stepping out. Maru suddenly wakes up and sees Director Ildo enter his room, covered in blood. The director calmly explains that he has come because he wants to talk, and tells Maru not to be afraid. Maru quickly stands up in shock and asks how he has entered the room. Yellow dust follows the director's steps inside as he casually rolls up his sleeves and explains that after finishing some tasks at the scene, he comes directly here. He picks up Maru's scarf and uses it to wipe his face, then mentions that after Kim Woo-ju's death, Maru has locked himself in his room and refuses to come out. Maru drops to his knees and sadly assumes that the director has come to blame him. However, Ildo calmly denies this and explains that Kim Woo-ju's death is not unusual because he is a special civil servant and too weak to survive such danger. Maru is shocked by this cold response. The director then says he is more worried about Maru's future, warning that if he continues like this, he will struggle to do his job and might end up becoming like his father. This surprises Maru, who asks if the director knows about his father. Ildo admits that they have once worked together as captains in the same unit. As he speaks, he recalls a past battle in 1999 in the mountains, where gunfire echoes through the forest. During that fight, a powerful Rakshasa appears, wearing armor that blocks bullets. One of their leaders urges everyone to attack, while Ildo hesitates for a moment before being forced back into action. The demon quickly kills several soldiers, leading to an order to throw grenades. A huge explosion follows, filling the area with fire and smoke. When the dust clears, the demon is still alive, releasing strange yellow dust, while its body begins to heal at an unnatural speed. The soldiers keep firing, but their attacks have little effect. The demon counterattacks and kills many of them. Ildo later explains that almost the entire unit is wiped out in that battle. When he regains consciousness, he sees the bodies of his teammates lying around him. Struggling to stand, he checks on the only survivor, who speaks with despair, saying that everyone is dead and questioning the meaning of it all. Ildo then reflects that what they witnessed that day is the terrifying power of yellow dust. Seeing the yellow dust spreading on the ground, Suwon becomes very afraid and says that the demons are still there and the situation is not over. In panic, he runs away while Ildo shouts for him to stop and come back. Ildo chases him and asks where he is going, but when he reaches him, he sees something terrifying. A dust demon is hiding in the haze, its eyes glowing in the dark. Ildo warns Suwon to step back, but Suwon says the situation is strange and insists that he has to stop the demon himself. Ildo does not understand and tries to stop him, but suddenly a tear in space appears and a hand comes out, piercing through Ildo's chest. Back in the present, director Ildo explains to Maru that during that attack, demon blood enters his body and gives him power, which leads him to form a special group to fight demons. Maru asks about his father, and Ildo says he has tried to recruit him but fails. He explains that after gaining power, Maru's father becomes unstable and focuses only on going to the underworld. Maru is shocked as he remembers his past. Ildo adds that his father chooses to become a demon to gain more strength. Maru becomes angry, but Ildo explains that those with demon blood can enter the underworld freely. After Ildo leaves, Maru sits quietly and looks at an old photo, thinking deeply about his father's choice and the warning to stay strong. Later, at the office, Go Deokman notices Maru's absence and plans to process his resignation, while Kang decides to visit him. Suddenly, Maru returns and apologizes for being late, surprising everyone. He has decided to continue his work and uncover the truth about demons and his father. Meanwhile, director Ildo goes to a secret room and declares that everything is ready to enter the underworld. At work, the whole office feels heavy and sad. Jiwon cannot handle the silence anymore, so he stands up and tells everyone it is lunchtime and they should go eat. Maru says he is not hungry and tells the others to go without him. In the end, only a few members leave for lunch, while the rest stay behind. Jiwon says she is worried because since Kim Woo-ju's death, Maru always looks sad. Kim Yibok also notices that it is not just Maru, but the entire team feels down, and the mood in the office has become very dark. Later that evening at Go Deokman's house, after finishing his shower, Go sees Maru sitting quietly in a corner and asks him to take out the trash while he cooks. Maru carries the bags outside and meets Kang, who tells him she lives nearby for convenience, along with a few other team members. When she offers to help with the trash, Maru refuses. Kang then tells him he should not keep blaming himself for Kim Woo-ju's death, but Maru insists it is his fault. Kang explains that everyone in the team has lost someone important and that he needs to move forward. Maru feels confused about why everyone carries such pain. The next day at the office, an alarm rings, and Go Deokman announces that a level 6 Rakshasa has appeared. A team quickly leaves to handle it. Maru seems reluctant to join, and Seonwoo suggests going in his place, which hurts Maru deeply. Jiwon scolds Seonwoo for his harsh words, but Seonwoo still thinks Maru is weak. When the team reaches the location, they are suddenly attacked, and one member is knocked unconscious. Soon after, they find that the demon has already been destroyed. While checking the area, One of the members notices a strange fat cat that looks exactly like his own. Curious, he picks it up and decides to take it back to the office, wondering why it feels so unusually heavy. Seon-woo quickly stops the man and questions why he wants to bring a cat into the office, but Ji-won allows it, and Yosok seems happy. At the office, the man proudly shows what he has found on the mountain, but everyone else reacts with concern. Kang tells him to put it down immediately, but he argues that it is just a cute cat. In reality, the creature in his hands is not a cat but a red Rakshasa in disguise. Suddenly, it jumps out and releases something that strikes the foreheads of Maru, Kang, and another civil servant before escaping. The man chases after it, still thinking it is his pet. The creature leads him to a strange place where yellow dust fills the air and a giant door appears. Back in the office, Go Daokman wakes up with a severe headache and angrily blames him for bringing a Rakshasa inside. The man tries to defend himself, saying others have seen it as a cat too, but Ji-won tells him to stop arguing and focus on the danger. They realize the demon is still inside and decide to search beyond the door. As they enter, they discover a terrifying illusion that shocks everyone. A red spider-like Rakshasa appears, and Ji-won is overwhelmed by painful memories of her child and tries to run toward it. Kang stops her, while others explain that the demon has touched their foreheads and read their memories to create these illusions. Maru understands that these visions are linked to the Rakshasa blood within them. Seon-woo explains that the creature itself is real, but formed using their own demonic power. Maru realizes in fear that even stronger demons connected to them could appear here. As Kang draws her weapon, the team understands that if they do not destroy this recreated Rakshasa, they will all be trapped and lost inside the illusion. Maru collapses on the ground, holding his head and feeling helpless as he worries that if he fails to kill the demon, everyone will suffer again. At that moment, he hears his name and looks up to see Go Daokman reaching out to him and calmly reassuring him that no one will die as long as they protect each other. Encouraged by this, Kang and Seon-woo immediately rush forward to attack. With Seon-woo supporting her, Kang jumps high and performs a clean strike, cutting off the spider-like demon's head. Blood pours out and she lands safely. Together, they defeat the demon quickly, and the illusion begins to disappear, returning the scene to the office. However, the yellow dust forms another strange door. Seon-woo becomes frustrated and pushes forward, determined to find the demon's hiding place. Kang checks on Ji-won, who is sitting weakly on the ground, and helps her stand. Watching this, Maru remembers that Ji-won has lost her son to demons and feels anger building inside him. The team enters through the door and sees bodies lying around, which Maru realizes are memories connected to Kim Yi-bak. This makes him feel sad as painful memories appear. Suddenly, Yosako points out a thin demon clinging to the ceiling, covered in green fur. It shakes its body, releasing spores that spread into the air. Before anyone can react, the spores enter their mouths. Maru quickly tries to cough them out, realizing they have already reached his lungs. He looks around and sees that the others have collapsed, all affected by the spores. Tears fill his eyes as he understands he might be the only one able to recover quickly. Realizing this, Maru forces himself to act. He jumps up, grabs the demon, and bites into its shoulder, tearing its body apart. Both fall to the ground as dust fills the air, and the demon slowly disappears. Exhausted, Maru notices the others slowly regaining consciousness and turns to them, asking if everyone is all right. Yosok struggles to breathe and tries to force the spores out of his body, feeling like he has almost died. Kang calls out to Maru, and both of them are shocked when they see Kim Woo-ju's sad and broken expression. She explains that Kim's wife has been killed by the same type of demon, and as the illusion fades, tears roll down his face. Maru remembers her words and realizes that every member of the team has lost someone important, and he is not the only one in pain. Slowly, he stops blaming himself so much and begins to think more clearly. Seon-woo notices his hesitation and nudges him, but Maru turns away with anger, telling him not to interfere. Seon-woo moves to open another door, but Maru steps in front of him, warning that a demon could be waiting inside. Seon-woo argues that he will deal with it anyway, and the door opens. A bright light appears, and Maru raises his hand to see clearly. He soon realizes that the figure in front of them is a younger version of Seon-woo, which means they are seeing his memories. In that memory, young Seon-woo begs a strange demon for power because he wants to become stronger than his father. Maru cannot understand why he would want such dangerous power. Suddenly, the demon attacks, breaking Seon-woo's knee and causing him to cry out in pain. The demon continues its attack, but Seon-woo fights back, snapping its wrist and striking it. However, the demon quickly heals and grows many more arms. The battle becomes intense as the creature attacks from all directions, breaking Xianwu's body piece by piece. Seeing him fall, the team rushes forward to help. Kang draws her weapon, and together with Go Diakman, Jiwon, and Maru, they charge into the fight. The demon's body is covered in countless hands, making it extremely dangerous. As it attacks, each movement causes severe injuries, and everyone screams in pain. Maru realizes they need to defeat it quickly, but he also understands how powerful it is. Suddenly, he loses control of his body, falls to the ground, and begins to struggle helplessly. Maru feels that the enemy is extremely strong, and realizes how dangerous its killing ability is. He turns and sees Xianwu lying on the ground and angrily wonders why he is not fighting properly, despite having similar powers. Seonwoo looks up with irritation, feeling frustrated that he has wanted to become stronger than his father but has still been defeated. Seeing Maru standing in front of him makes him realize that if he does nothing, his power will have no meaning. Meanwhile, the demon raises its arms and attacks again. Maru prepares himself, but as the creature moves its fingers, he suddenly feels intense pain, cannot breathe, and is unable to move. It is as if an invisible force is crushing his body and blocking his abilities, preventing both his evolution and recovery. Struggling on the ground, Maru calls out to Go Diakman for help, but the captain admits he cannot move either because his recovery is too slow. Frustrated, Maru shouts at Xianwu again, urging him to act. At that moment, the demon moves closer to the others, preparing to attack them. Xianwu forces himself to stand, determined not to fail again. Kang tries to strike with her sword, but her body does not respond because all her bones feel broken. Suddenly, an invisible force grabs her neck and lifts her into the air. Maru is shocked as he looks up and sees her floating, but Xianwu realizes the truth. He understands that it is not invisible but controlled by the demon's blood, which has taken hold of her body. Countless hand-like shapes formed from the blood wrap around her limbs and neck, squeezing tightly and causing her great pain. Maru rushes forward in anger, shouting for it to stop, but another force grabs his neck and lifts him into the air as well. Confused and struggling, he cannot see what is holding him. Xianwu, however, recognizes the energy and realizes that if the demon can use this power, then he might be able to use it too. Xianwu bites his hand hard until it bleeds, and the blood turns into many invisible hands that attack the demon controlling everything. At that moment, he shouts for his teammates to act. A strand of spider silk shoots forward and pierces the demon's neck, badly injuring it and forcing it to collapse. Behind it stands the giant spider created by Jiwon's ability. Jiwon says they have won, but everyone is exhausted and falls to the ground, too tired to move. Seonwoo quietly realizes that because of this battle, he has discovered a new ability within himself. While resting, he notices Maru standing nearby, giving him advice on what to do next time. Seonwoo reacts with anger and tells him to mind his own business, mocking Maru's fighting style. Maru becomes upset, feeling that even after helping, he is still insulted. Seonwoo walks away, still annoyed. Soon, the team gathers in front of another door as a loud and frightening roar comes from inside. Everyone feels nervous, and some guess that it might be Maru's own demon. When Maru steps forward and opens the door, he hears a child's voice calling for his father. Inside, he sees a memory of himself as a child with his father. The others are terrified because they understand that this is the powerful demon connected to Maru. In that vision, his father tries to pull him toward the demon, saying that only by gaining its power can he protect the people he cares about. This confuses Maru, as it does not match what he has been told before. At the same time, far away, Director Ildo is discussing the increasing number of people gaining demon powers. He explains that while the number is rising, strong individuals are still rare, especially in certain branches. When questioned about his actions, he hints that creating stronger people might require dangerous decisions. The discussion becomes tense, and the director is accused of risking lives for power. Meanwhile, back at the scene, the team faces a terrifying demon preparing to attack. Everyone stands still, tired and afraid, wishing the situation will end so they can finally escape. Suddenly, one of the male civil servants shouts and points toward the hunger demon. Everyone turns to look and sees that the large creature is collapsing. Its body begins to melt and drip onto the ground before completely disappearing, leaving behind only a strange red circle. This shocks the entire group, as they cannot understand why such a powerful demon vanishes without a proper fight. Go Diakman stays silent, sensing that something about it is different from normal Rakshasas. Some members feel relieved that they do not have to face such a dangerous enemy, but the tension remains. Jiwon then looks at the next door and says that it is now Kang's turn. Kang steps forward, telling everyone to stay back because she wants to handle it alone. She creates a sword using her blood ability and prepares to enter. Jiwon tries to stop her, and Maru also warns that fighting alone is too dangerous, but Kang insists that she needs to face it by herself as training. With a serious expression, she moves forward and opens the door. The others watch anxiously as she enters. Maru cannot stay calm and slightly opens the door to look inside. He sees Kang fighting a Rakshasa, their swords clashing with flashes of fire. While observing carefully, Maru notices something unexpected. There is another shadow behind the demon, revealing the presence of a second Rakshasa. Seonwoo also looks inside and becomes tense, realizing the situation is worse than expected. During the fight, Kang's sword breaks, and the demon prepares to strike her down. Maru and the others are ready to rush in to help, but Kang stops them, still determined to fight alone. The door then slowly closes, leaving everyone outside unable to see what is happening. Maru grows frustrated and asks why it is shut, but Seonwoo remains calm and believes she can still win. Suddenly, a loud noise echoes, and the door opens again. A blood-covered hand appears, followed by Kang, who steps out weakly. She says that she has managed to win before collapsing into Maru's arms. Everyone is shocked by her condition, but also relieved that she has survived. Seonwoo quietly acknowledges her strength, realizing that teamwork will be necessary for the remaining battles. Jiwon then points out that only a few doors are left, but the group notices something strange. The next door has not appeared yet, which confuses them and makes them wonder about the nature of the demons they are facing. The male civil servant hesitates, and then explains that the creature they saw reminds him of his lost pet, which he has searched for in the mountains a year ago, before encountering a monster. Jiwon then asks about the strange shadow related to Go Daeokman, but he casually replies that it might have been something the Rakshasa recreated from a forgotten memory. The team does not fully believe him, but they are relieved that they do not have to face a level 10 demon. Yosok jokes that it is good they avoid the most dangerous one, and Go Daeokman agrees, saying that what matters most is that everyone is safe. Maru thinks about this, and realizes that everyone in the team carries painful pasts, so they should support each other more. As they talk, the atmosphere becomes calmer, and they even discuss simple things like the missing cat, which has now been found at home. The mist around them begins to clear, and everything seems to return to normal. Go Daeokman suggests taking Kang to the hospital and then celebrating with a meal. Suddenly, Maru punches him in the face, shocking everyone. Maru quickly realizes that the person in front of them is not the real captain and points out that the real one has been sick earlier and would not act this way. The fake tries to pretend, but the team immediately attacks it. Taking advantage of a moment of distraction, the creature tries to escape, and everyone chases after it. At that moment, the real Go Daeokman arrives in his car and hits the fleeing figure, revealing it as a Rakshasa as it transforms back. Later in the office, Go Daeokman angrily questions the team, warning that if headquarters finds out, they will all be punished, so the incident has to remain secret. Outside, Kang finally feels relieved, but Seonwoo approaches her and reveals that he has seen the same Rakshasa before. When Kang asks where, he quietly says that it might actually be Director Ildo, leaving her shocked. Seonwoo begins to explain that this story starts about 20 years ago at Director Ildo's private house. As a child, he once opens the bedroom door and asks his father if he still has to work in the basement. His mother, lying on the bed and ignoring him, replies that his father does not care about them, so he should not bother him. Still curious, young Seonwoo goes to the basement window and wipes away the dust to look inside. What he sees shocks him deeply. There is a strange lizard-like creature with a dark body, constantly releasing yellow dust. Returning to the present, Kang questions whether Seonwoo is suggesting that Director Ildo is the same demon from her memories. Seonwoo explains that in his childhood, the basement only contains that creature, but he is too young to fully understand it at the time. However, after seeing Kang's memories, he becomes convinced that the demon he sees and Director Ildo are the same. Kang is shocked and demands to know why, if that is true, the director allows her family to be killed. Seonwoo admits that he also wants answers and explains that he becomes a special civil servant to uncover the truth. He believes that gaining stronger demonic power will allow him access to the headquarters, where he can investigate further. Kang remains doubtful and asks for real evidence, saying that memories alone are not enough. Later, Kang and Maru sit in a meeting room, where Maru questions why he has been brought into this situation. Kang calmly reminds him that she has already explained it earlier. Maru shows frustration, especially towards Seonwoo's theory. At that moment, Director Ildo enters the room, apologizing for being late and asking what they want to discuss. Maru tries to speak, but Seonwoo interrupts and directly questions whether the director has been present when Kang first gains her powers. The room grows tense. Ildo responds calmly, asking what he means, while Kang adds that she has heard another demon is present at that time. Ildo dismisses their claims with a mocking tone, suggesting that Seonwoo is imagining things because of his past trauma. Maru is left shocked as he realizes there might be a deeper connection between them. Sun Wooju slams his hand on the table in anger and says that this has nothing to do with his mother, as he only wants to know the director's true identity. He then tells Maru to release the yellow dust, so they can confirm who the director really is. Maru feels frustrated, thinking he has been dragged there for this reason. Director Ildo calmly warns him that using yellow dust outside of a mission will cause serious consequences for the Manhwa team. Under pressure, Maru begins to sweat. At that moment, Kang steps in and places her hand on Seonwoo's shoulder, asking him to stop because she does not want Maru to get involved, even though she wants the truth about her family. Maru looks at her and remembers the destroyed bedroom, then asks if she truly wants to know what happens that day. After a brief exchange of looks, he suddenly declares that he will take responsibility from now on, and Seonwoo agrees. It is the first time they are completely in sync. Director Ildo stands up casually, rubbing his head and speaking in a mocking tone. Seonwoo then reveals that he never sees him as a father since he has abandoned him and his mother. Overcome with anger, Seonwoo uses his demonic power, shattering the glass behind him, and rushes at the director, causing both of them to fall from the top floor. Kang is shocked, wondering how he plans to act without yellow dust outside. As they fall, Seonwoo shouts for them to watch. Ildo remains calm and suddenly escapes through a space crack that opens above them. He releases yellow dust from his mouth, confirming their suspicions. Kang is stunned and questions what is happening. Ildo returns and questions whether only they doubt him or the whole team. When no one answers, he smirks and tears open space again, transporting them to a rooftop construction site. Confused, Maru wonders what is happening. Ildo coldly states that since they doubt him, he has no choice but to act, then uses his power to slice through space toward them. Director Ildo makes a small gesture with his hand, and Un immediately warns everyone to tear open space and move away quickly. The team reacts fast and manages to dodge the deadly attack just in time. Un then questions the director about his actions, but he stays calm and explains that he is simply removing corruption, saying some people have seen things they are not supposed to see. He adds that it is unfortunate they are involved, as they have contributed greatly in fighting demons. He then looks at Maru and coldly states that it would be better if Maru is eliminated, as he could become a problem if captured by a demon. Maru, confused, wonders why he is being targeted. The director moves his hand again, creating another space crack, and says humans are weak. Suddenly, an attack comes from behind Seonwoo and Kang. Before they can react, their heads are cut off. Maru is horrified as their blood splashes onto him. Seeing this, Un makes a desperate decision. She pierces her own chest and activates her power, sacrificing 5 years of her life to rewind time by 5 seconds. Everything freezes and then reverses. The moment before Seonwoo and Kang are killed returns, and she quickly pulls them down to safety. Maru stands in shock, unable to understand how they have come back to life. Un also feels confused, wondering how Maru can sense her ability. Without wasting time, the two revived fighters charge forward to attack Director Ildo, but he easily avoids them. As he approaches Seonwoo, the latter trembles, realizing he has just died moments ago. Seonwoo angrily breaks his fingers, and strangely, the director's fingers move in the same way. Director Ildo then coldly denies being his father and turns Seonwoo's own attack back on him, while Maru shouts in alarm. Kang quickly runs forward and pushes Seonwoo down to the ground, causing all three of them to fall together. Maru shouts at him to wake up and stop acting recklessly, warning that he will die again if he is not careful. At the same time, Maru demands that director Jong Ildo be captured alive because there are many questions that need answers. The twin fighters join hands, unsure if they can succeed, but decide to try anyway. From their hands, countless thin threads made of blood spread out. One of them rushes forward first, increasing his strength and speed using his bloodline power. Director Ildo remains calm and easily cuts off the attacker's head, shocking everyone. However, even without a head, the fighter's body keeps moving and continues attacking. The severed head laughs, while the other twin explains that as long as their bloodline remains intact, they cannot truly die. Director Ildo tries to cut the bloodline, but it reconnects instantly, making him frown in frustration. The twins declare that their bloodline cannot be destroyed. The headless fighter thanks the director for everything and continues fighting fiercely. Maru watches in admiration, but Seonwoo warns that the director can still escape using his dark space ability. Kang then points out that the real plan is not direct attack, but trapping him. The blood threads have already wrapped tightly around the director's body. At that moment, both twins pull the threads at once, restricting his movement. Maru immediately shouts for Kang to attack his hands. Kang uses her sword to cut off one arm, while Seonwoo destroys the other. With both hands gone, the director cannot use his full power. As he struggles, he releases yellow dust in panic. Eun quickly orders Maru to bite him so he cannot regenerate. Maru rushes forward despite hesitation and bites into him. Suddenly, the director's eyes change, and he returns to his true form. A dark shadow spreads out and swallows Maru completely. Everyone watches in horror as Maru vanishes into the dark space. The space demon laughs, and Eun still believes she is facing Director Ildo, so she questions him about how everything has reached this point. The demon calmly explains that he intends to reveal himself fully before the end. Seonwoo and Kang immediately understand that this form is the demon's true identity. Seonwoo feels worried and confused, unable to accept what has happened to his father. The demon then reveals that he has personally arranged everything, including summoning the demon that attacks Kang's family, because he believes she has the potential to become a strong demonic power user. Kang is shocked by this truth, but before she can react further, the demon attacks her and severely injures her body. At the same time, Eun's arm is also damaged, but she quickly uses her power to heal both herself and Kang, warning everyone not to rush, or they will all die. Kang, overwhelmed, admits that they are not strong enough, and that even getting close to the demon has become almost impossible. She still holds hope that Maru might find a solution, but Eun believes it is impossible since Maru has been trapped inside the demon's dark space. Inside that space, Maru keeps running endlessly but cannot find an exit and eventually collapses from exhaustion. Just then, he sees a faint light and moves toward it. There, he finds a thin, chained man who appears to be the real Director Ildo. The man explains that the one outside is a demon that has escaped from the underworld. He describes it as a powerful being from a group of divine creatures in ancient mythology, far stronger and more intelligent than ordinary demons. Meanwhile, outside, the team continues fighting desperately. Kang orders everyone to protect Eun, knowing everything will end if she dies. The demon easily cuts down the team members with simple movements, while Eun repeatedly sacrifices her life force to rewind time by 5 seconds, bringing everyone back again and again as the battle continues without end. Director Ildo continues explaining to Maru that those who carry the power of the great Rakshasa king possess overwhelming strength, and anyone facing the 8 higher beings should never act carelessly because ordinary demon users have no chance of defeating them. Outside, Eun has become visibly old after using her power many times. The space demon mocks her, asking how many times she has reversed time and why she does not just give up and die. She is close to collapse and begins to regret her past, wondering why she has been sending civil servants to fight under the orders of what is actually a monster. The demon keeps laughing and decides to make things worse by raising his hands, opening countless gates in the sky. From those gates, demons pour out endlessly, shocking the entire group. Seonwoo curses and tells everyone to get ready for battle. Meanwhile, inside the dark space, Maru continues talking with Director Ildo and asks about the purpose of the space demon. The chief explains that the demon has escaped from the underworld and has become an enemy of the Rakshasa king, and that it wants to drag humans into a war with the underworld. Maru realizes that this means special civil servants are being used like an army in that war. He asks if killing the space demon will end everything, but the chief says it is already too late, although defeating it might allow the real director to regain his body. Maru then tries to pull the chief along with him, urging him not to give up and reminding him that his son is still waiting outside. Hearing this, the chief shows a small sign of life, but seems confused about how much time has passed and is already very weak. Maru insists that they must find a way out, but the chief says he cannot leave because his mind is tied to that place. Outside, more gates open and demons flood the area, while the space demon creates shrinking space cracks that begin trapping everyone. Just as the team starts to lose hope, a hand suddenly reaches out from one of the gates. Maru then bursts out from the underworld gate, successfully escaping and shocking everyone around him. Maru falls from the sky and faces the space demon, which shows no surprise at his return. He immediately throws a punch at it. Just moments earlier, he is inside the dark space, arguing with the real director Ildo, who insists that escaping from that place is impossible, while Maru strongly believes they will find a way out. During that time, a strange hand suddenly appears on Maru's shoulder and tries to attack him, but Maru reacts quickly and smashes the creature's head with a punch. He briefly wonders if ghosts exist there, but then remembers a past conversation with a male civil servant about gates connected to the underworld. That civil servant explains that such gates usually close within 3 days and that strange events have been happening in Busan, though the director has been praised for sealing them using dark space. Realizing this, Maru understands he needs to find a gate to escape. He begins running through the endless darkness until he finally discovers one and rushes toward it, believing it will lead him outside. However, instead of freedom, he enters a terrifying land filled with smoke, fire, and thick yellow dust that makes it hard to breathe. Confused and alarmed, he wonders where he has ended up and whether escape is still possible. Suddenly, he hears a disturbing sound and sees a woman-like figure with severed hands and countless blood threads coming out of her body, her dark blue eyes filled with evil intent. The ground begins to shake as countless demons rush toward him. Panicking, Maru runs without knowing where to go, focusing only on survival. After some time, he spots another dark gate in the distance and immediately jumps toward it with all his strength. Passing through it, he finally escapes the terrifying place and returns outside. Without hesitation, he charges straight at the space demon again, determined to fight, but the demon quickly avoids his attack. Maru looks at the group and loudly asks if everyone is safe, then smiles and says that from now on he will handle everything himself. Seonwoo immediately shouts at him not to say such things, arguing that it is impossible for him to defeat the enemy alone. However, Maru feels confident inside and believes that now he finally has a chance to win. The demon questions him, wondering how he has managed to escape from the dark space. At that moment, a stream of blue energy suddenly shoots out from the gate behind them and strikes the demon directly. For a brief moment, the demon's mind seems to connect with the trapped Ildo, confusing it and forcing it to focus on closing the gate quickly. Seeing this, Yoon shouts that the demons are escaping and warns everyone that they have to shut the gate immediately. The space demon uses all its power, and the gate slowly begins to close until no more demons can come through. As the gate seals, the demon notices that part of its power has weakened and angrily blames everyone for it. Seonwoo quickly warns Maru to move away, but it is too late as the demon attacks, splitting Maru's head in half. Eun prepares to use her time power again, but Kang stops her and points at Maru. His body suddenly turns into stone and cracks open, and a new Maru emerges from within. The demon attacks again, cutting him apart, but Maru continues to regenerate. Eun is shocked, while others realize that this is the result of Maru's evolved demonic ability. The twins watch in disbelief, wondering if he is still human. Multiple broken forms of Maru appear as he keeps reviving and charging forward without fear. With determination, he rushes toward the demon one final time. As the demon raises its hand to strike him, Maru dodges the attack, leaps forward, grabs the demon tightly, and bites deeply into its shoulder, risking everything to end the fight. Kang carefully observes Maru and feels something strange, noticing that his bite, which normally causes little damage, is now behaving differently. At the same time, Maru senses that although he is forcing himself to use his demonic power, it does not feel the same as before. Suddenly, he realizes he has been pulled back into the dark space again. The space demon appears behind him and warns that he will regret his actions. It quickly moves closer and begins speaking about power and control, claiming that Maru possesses a rare ability to absorb demonic energy, and suggesting that the Rakshasa has brought him into the human world for this purpose. The demon hints that Maru is hiding his true nature and tries to manipulate him, asking whether he wants to return the demon to the endless darkness of the underworld. Maru angrily turns and demands that the demon return there instead. The demon grabs his neck and clarifies that it is not speaking to Maru himself, but to the power growing inside him. It claims that this power has not yet taken over his mind, but clearly belongs to the same source. As Maru struggles, he feels the violent presence inside him beginning to awaken, as if trying to break free. The demon continues to provoke him, explaining that if he accepts the power of the 8 higher beings, he will eventually lose his will and become consumed by madness. It then tempts him to join forces and release his hidden strength. These words stir Maru's memories of past battles, and for a moment, he begins to lose control as the demonic force tries to take over his mind. However, Maru suddenly regains his senses and refuses to give in. He declares that he will never allow demonic forces to control him or use him for their goals. Instead, he decides to use his power to stop the demon. With determination, he attacks again, biting into the demon's neck and trying to absorb its energy. Blood flows as both of them weaken and collapse together. Kang quickly catches Maru, while Seonwoo watches as the demon disappears, leaving behind the weak body of his father. He gently covers him with his vest. The twins quietly conclude that everything seems over. Maru, however, reflects that although the battle has ended, the threat from the demon world still remains. Later that night, the group gathers in the captain's room, discussing how unexpected the truth has been and how uncertain the future will be. The captain is then called by the division minister, who emphasizes the need to gather leaders and plan how to face future threats, asking how they will respond if they cannot accept what lies ahead. Go Deokman touches his nose and explains that if people find out the director is connected to the demon world, the situation will become uncontrollable and the government will soon investigate. Eun quietly agrees and says their special organization will face serious trouble. Deokman suggests they should stay silent for now and act as if they know nothing until they find a proper solution. The black-haired member adds that this will give them time, while the red-haired one agrees, saying the truth is too dangerous because a demon has been leading their organization. Eun then prepares to leave, saying everyone has worked hard and should go home and rest because she does not want to face the truth anymore. As she walks away, the captain calls her back and points out how much she has aged after the battle, telling her she no longer needs to address him formally. He feels uneasy seeing her condition and hopes she will recover. Later that night, Maru and Seonwoo lie in the living room. Maru asks why he is not going home, but Seonwoo says he is too tired and usually sleeps there anyway. Maru notices he is still awake and tells him that he has met his father inside the dark space. Seonwoo is shocked. Maru explains that he has tried to bring him back but fails and apologizes. Seonwoo stays silent for a moment, then says it is not his fault. Maru also shares that his father still cares deeply for him and his mother, and tells him not to hate him anymore. A tear forms in Seonwoo's eyes as they both lie down. Maru then worries about the future, remembering the warning that powerful demons will soon invade the human world, and wonders if humans can ever defeat them. In the darkness, a voice calls out to someone with demonic power, as a new armored figure prepares to enter the human world. At the Seoul headquarters, an important meeting is taking place, with Eun sitting in the director's chair. She explains that the current crisis is due to the 8 higher beings of demons, which hold a much higher rank than ordinary demons. This is an emergency meeting of the National Special Civil Servant Department. One official argues that this is not the time to delay and insists that a new director should be chosen immediately to deal with the threat. Another member, a young and bold minister, stands up angrily and says the government does not fully understand the danger, as the 8 higher beings have already arrived. The meeting quickly becomes chaotic, with people arguing loudly. Eun feels a headache coming on as she thinks about how much worse things will become if the truth about Director Ildo is revealed, and she also wonders about Maru's true identity. Meanwhile, Maru is back at the office, complaining as he works on his report, saying that even after everything, he still has paperwork to finish like a normal civil servant. After completing it, he sighs in relief and prepares to go home. Later that night, the male civil servant and Seonwoo arrive at his place with their bags to stay over. Maru seems excited and asks if he can use the attic, but Seonwoo is annoyed and questions why Maru dislikes sharing a room with him. Maru jokingly suggests that Seonwoo should share a room with the captain instead, which Seonwoo immediately rejects. Go Deokman, seeing their argument, suggests they settle it with a game. All 3 of them play, and Maru and Seonwoo win, leaving the male civil servant defeated and lying on the floor in disbelief. Maru quietly thinks that sharing a room with Seonwoo will still feel awkward. Just then, someone knocks on the door. Maru goes to check and sees Jiwon, Kim, and Kang outside, who have come for a small housewarming visit, though Maru feels such a gathering is unnecessary. Jiwon speaks gently and explains that Seonwoo has been feeling sad, so they want to cheer him up, and Maru finally understands the reason for the gathering. The group begins setting things up, but during the preparations, someone accidentally knocks over a glass of beer. As they try to clean it, Seonwoo quickly steps in to help, while others continue preparing food. The captain is asked to pick up some meat, and there is light conversation as they try to enjoy the moment. However, things become slightly chaotic when Officer Kim, who seems drunk, complains about a clogged toilet. Seonwoo, annoyed, goes to fix it immediately. Watching all this, Jiwon smiles and feels that Seonwoo is finally showing some energy again. Maru, however, quietly wonders about Kang and where she has gone. He soon finds her standing alone on the balcony, looking at the night sky. When he approaches and asks what she is doing, Kang replies that she is just enjoying the wind. She then speaks sadly, saying that although she has taken revenge by defeating the space demon who destroys her family, nothing can bring her family back. Maru stands beside her silently, and Kang gently asks if he is all right, especially after discovering that he possesses powers connected to the 8 higher beings. Maru gives a light laugh but understands the danger, knowing such power can eventually consume him. At that moment, Xianwu joins them and warns that he will stop Maru if he ever loses control. He also mentions something troubling about the headquarters basement, reminding them of recent events. All three recall their visit there and question why the truth has been hidden. Un once says that taking such a demon from the underworld can lead to disaster for humanity. Soon, the captain calls them back inside. Maru decides to stop worrying for the moment and joins the group. The atmosphere feels calm and peaceful, with everyone relaxing and drinking, unaware that it is only a short moment of peace. In the distance, footsteps approach quietly as the same demon from before appears again, coldly announcing that the time for destruction has arrived. The demon rushes directly toward the headquarters and smashes through the ceiling, shocking the officials nearby. One of them reacts in fear, wondering what has just appeared and why a demon has entered such a secure place. The demon moves forward through the yellow dust as all warning systems activate, alerting everyone that a demon has infiltrated headquarters. It quickly makes its way to the 51st floor. At the same time, officials are discussing the situation, asking about Chief Yu Young-eun's location, and learning that she is at the National Intelligence Service meeting with defense leaders. During the discussion, one official raises concern about Director Ildo's death and the threat posed by the powerful demons. Yoon explains that the fighting methods will change because of the strength of these high-level demons and that they can cause serious harm to civilians, meaning the country needs a proper response plan. However, the Minister of Defense disagrees and insists that everything should continue to be handled quietly, just as before. Another official supports this, saying secrecy is more important since the country is not officially at war. Un questions the situation in other countries, but the intelligence chief refuses to share information. Frustrated, she steps aside to take an urgent phone call. Meanwhile, back at headquarters, a civil servant attacks the demon and cuts its body in half, surprising everyone who thinks it has been defeated easily. However, the attacker suddenly screams as his body is drained of flesh and blood, which the demon uses to regenerate instantly. Another civil servant launches fiery arrows at the demon, but the same effect occurs, as anyone who injures it has their life drained to heal it. The demon reveals that this is a form of cause and effect power, making it nearly impossible to kill. The remaining civil servants quickly realize they cannot defeat it through normal attacks. As the demon continues moving forward and speaking mysteriously about hidden threats, one civil servant transforms her power into chains and rushes to restrain it, determined to stop it despite not fully understanding its words. Two civil servants rush forward together to attack the demon, but it remains calm and emotionless. It pulls a sword out of its own body and swings it once, instantly cutting both of them down. The force of the attack is so powerful that part of the floor collapses, creating panic as people outside think an explosion has happened and fear the building is falling apart. Inside, red energy lines spread across the structure, trying to hold it together. One civil servant uses her demonic power to stabilize the building and urges everyone else to evacuate quickly while she holds the structure in place. She also calls urgently for Director Un to arrive as soon as possible. Director Un drives at high speed and asks about the situation, and the staff reports that it is extremely serious because a powerful demon with near-immortal abilities has appeared and is heading toward the location where other dangerous demons are sealed. The demon moves forward slowly, like a lifeless being, while Un calculates that she will need about 20 minutes to reach headquarters. Realizing the urgency, she calls Go Diokman for help. When he answers, he understands the situation immediately. Maru notices his serious expression and asks what is happening, and Go Diokman tells him that one of the 8 higher beings has attacked headquarters. Maru is shocked, but the captain quickly tells him they need to teleport there immediately and asks if he can use his space ability. Maru agrees to try and begins activating his power by releasing yellow energy. Many possible spaces appear in his mind, confusing him, and the strain causes him to cough up blood. The captain urges him to focus and adapt quickly, Maru tries again, and suddenly the group is teleported, but not to headquarters. Instead, they appear in a random room belonging to a student. Embarrassed, the captain apologizes, while others demand to try again. Maru uses his power once more, and this time they end up in the middle of a group of thugs who react aggressively. Frustrated and bleeding, Maru struggles to control his ability and wonders how to properly use this dangerous power. The entire building is being held together by demonic energy, preventing it from collapsing despite the destruction inside. The floor is covered with bodies, and only 3 civil servants remain standing. One of them, who is using her power to support the structure, asks how many demonic energy users are still alive. Another member explains that apart from the 3 of them, no one else is left fighting, while the remaining dangerous demons are still active within the building. On the 25th floor, the invading demon encounters 2 defenders and shows no interest, feeling that fighting humans is pointless. The 2 defenders immediately use their powers, with one transforming into a crow and summoning a swarm of black birds to attack. However, the demon calmly avoids every strike and counters with a single swing of its sword, cutting them down before they can use their full abilities. The strength of the demon overwhelms them completely, and their energy fades away, leaving only 3 defenders remaining in headquarters while the outside world remains unaware and peaceful. Meanwhile, Maru is struggling with his teleportation ability, coughing up blood as he tries to control it. Kang grows worried and tells him not to force himself, but Maru insists he can manage and reassures her. He focuses again and enters the teleportation state, realizing that he is beginning to understand how to control the power, though he still needs more time to fully master it. Back at headquarters, the demon reaches the final 3 civil servants and questions whether they are the last ones remaining. It offers to spare them if they reveal information about the location of imprisoned demons. One of the civil servants steps forward and tells the others to focus on keeping the building stable to protect civilians. He then creates a powerful defensive shield using his demonic energy. The demon, still emotionless, raises its sword and charges forward, striking the shield with full force as the final battle continues. The shield successfully blocks the demon's first attack, and the demon calmly praises its strength in a quiet voice. After that, it decides to try a different method and pulls out a bow and arrow from its back to test another kind of attack. It raises the bow and fires an arrow directly at the defender with the shield, then activates a powerful fire ability, sending countless flaming arrows forward like missiles. The shield itself remains strong and does not break, but the true target of the attack is not the shield. Instead, the arrows strike the artificial water energy that is supporting the entire building. One of the arrows pierces the chest of the civil servant, maintaining that energy, and her life force fades as her candle-like power goes out. The 2 remaining defenders react in shock and panic as they see the building starting to collapse around them. Realizing that there is no other option left, one of them decides that the only way to stop the disaster is to sacrifice herself. She takes the candle above her head and prepares to use her life force to hold the building together, even though she knows it will cost her everything. The other person quickly urges her to act faster because the building is already breaking apart. At the same time, the demon continues to fire more arrows, sending another wave of powerful attacks toward them. One of the defenders tries to protect the other, even though it seems impossible to block such a strong attack. Just as the situation becomes hopeless, Maru suddenly appears using his space ability and steps forward, opening a dark space that swallows all the incoming fire arrows and saves them. The demon looks at Maru with interest and begins questioning him, thinking he might be someone with ghost-like powers, even calling him a brother in a strange way. Maru feels confused by those words but ignores them and focuses on the fight. Kang and Go Deokman then arrive to support him. Maru tries to use his space power to attack, but the captain quickly warns him to be careful because the enemy has an immortal-type demonic ability and cannot be defeated easily. When the demon's arm is damaged, Maru's own arm is instantly drained of blood, causing him great pain while the demon regenerates immediately. This strange link makes it clear that attacking directly will only harm them as well. Maru, struggling through the pain, realizes they need a smarter strategy and begins thinking carefully about how to defeat the demon without triggering its dangerous power. Maru watches the Rakshasa recover by sucking blood and realizes it is asking about its allies, likely meaning the other demons under its control. When Maru questions it, the Rakshasa explains that it wants to take him to the place of the great Rakshasa king. Maru refuses to go, so the Rakshasa decides to force him. It pulls out 2 long swords and rushes forward, but the blades shatter when they touch Maru. Seonwoo quickly steps in and saves him, understanding that they need a smarter way to defeat this enemy since its powers are different from other demons. Chana joins the fight and aims to stop its regeneration by attacking its head, but the Rakshasa easily blocks her attack and overpowers Jiwon's spider. The team prepares to fight as more members arrive, confused by the situation. Go Deokman introduces their team and focuses on protecting the building. Meanwhile, Chana rushes forward but is put in danger. Seonwoo tries to protect her but is injured. As the Rakshasa attacks again, Maru uses his space ability to step in, but the Rakshasa grabs him by the neck and holds a sword to Chana, questioning why Maru still chooses to fight for humans. At that moment, black liquid spreads from beneath the Rakshasa, as Deokman uses his power to interfere with it. The Rakshasa remains calm and shows no reaction, saying it feels nothing. Deokman stands behind it and realizes that even fatal attacks like cutting its throat will not work, so his priority becomes moving everyone to safety. Outside the building, the team suddenly finds themselves on the ground, confused about how they get there. Jiwon explains that Deokman has used his ability to move them out. Emergency teams arrive quickly, evacuating people and repairing the damaged headquarters. Meanwhile, Maru regains consciousness and finds himself in a basement. Deokman explains that this location is chosen to reduce further damage. The team begins thinking of a way to defeat the immortal Rakshasa, but normal attacks are useless. Maru suggests using his space ability to remove the Rakshasa, but Chana warns that it could destroy everything nearby. Before they can decide, the Rakshasa breaks through the ceiling and enters, aiming to take Maru. Maru stands in its way and uses teleportation to bring many directors into the basement, surprising everyone, while the Rakshasa watches with interest, mentioning that he was getting bored. One of the newly arrived officials realizes that the Rakshasa in front of them is their true enemy, and comments that the situation has become completely unexpected. Secretary Wang questions Maru, asking why he possesses powers similar to Director Ildo. Deokman quickly greets the minister but immediately tells him to stop wasting time and read his memories. The minister uses his ability to access Deokman's mind and then shares those memories with everyone present. Instantly, all the officials understand the situation and the plan that has been prepared. Some of the higher officials feel offended by the bold instructions, but there is no time to argue. Meanwhile, the Rakshasa notices their strange behavior and questions what they are planning. Without waiting, it pulls a massive sword from its body and rushes toward the group. One of the officials calmly instructs everyone to follow the plan strictly, focusing only on defense and avoiding damage to the Rakshasa, since hurting it will allow it to regenerate by absorbing blood. Many civil servants step forward as shields, sacrificing themselves to delay the Rakshasa while the minister prepares her ability. Even as the Rakshasa attacks fiercely, they hold their positions. Realizing their strategy, the Rakshasa changes tactics, pulling out countless swords from its body and forming terrifying wings made entirely of blades. Deokman quickly warns everyone to stay alert because the Rakshasa's attack is extremely strong. The Rakshasa spreads its wing-like blades and moves rapidly, smashing through the defense barrier created by the civil servants. Its attack breaks through and rushes toward the Incheon team. One civil servant steps forward and covers his body with silver scales, forming a shield as strong as dragon armor. But even that begins to crack under the Rakshasa's overwhelming power. As the situation becomes critical, Incheon Chief calmly activates her ability. Tentacles rise from the ground and grab the Rakshasa, and a giant blue mouth appears and swallows it. The team watches nervously as she confirms the Rakshasa is temporarily trapped. Everyone prepares quickly as another ability covers the trapped Rakshasa with iron-like protection to hold it in place. A chief then uses powerful fire magic to burn it. The team counts each second until the 30-second limit ends, and the cage burns away. Black smoke appears, making them think the Rakshasa is gone. However, one civil servant senses something strange, and soon blood begins flowing from the ceiling, proving the Rakshasa is still alive. After the incident, news spreads everywhere that the headquarters building has collapsed, and people begin guessing different reasons, from global warming to aliens, while the government officially calls it a gas leak to hide the truth. Meanwhile, Maru sits quietly in the bathroom and watches the situation unfold. He receives a call from his mother, who is worried after hearing about the explosion, and asks if he is safe. Maru reassures her that he works in a different area and is fine, then asks about her safety as well. After the call ends, Maru becomes worried that if the immortal Rakshasa returns, his mother could also be in danger. Suddenly, someone knocks on his door and tells him that he is being called to headquarters. When he arrives, many branch chiefs are already waiting and question him directly about the situation. They discuss how the Rakshasa will return for Maru and argue about whether he can still be trusted, while some defend him, saying his power is needed. Finally, the Incheon chief explains that there is still a possible solution, but it requires 1 minute to activate the ability. During the meeting, the officials argue about whether their previous plan can work again, with some claiming that certain abilities are useless while others defend them, leading to a heated dispute. In the middle of this chaos, Maru calmly speaks up and suggests a solution. He explains that he can trap the immortal Rakshasa inside his black space, but he needs at least 5 seconds during which the Rakshasa cannot move. This idea gives the team a clear direction. Later, Maru is sent to a mountain on Gang Island to act as bait and wait for the Rakshasa to appear. Although he feels uneasy and scared about facing such a powerful enemy alone, he accepts the responsibility because there is no other way to protect everyone. Soon, Chana and Yan arrive to keep him company, followed by the rest of the team, which lifts his mood. They begin preparing to camp together, even though most of them have forgotten to bring their own tents, forcing them all to stay in Maru's tent and causing him some frustration. Despite the light moment, tension remains as they wait. Suddenly, a portal opens and triggers an alarm, and the returning Rakshasa appears, ready for another battle. The director of one of the teams questions Maru's authority, saying he is only a team member and has no right to give orders. However, another member quickly steps in and firmly states that Maru is in charge of the mission, so everyone should follow his instructions without arguing. With that, the team moves forward to attack the immortal Rakshasa. Different ability users work together, using water to weaken the Rakshasa and ice to freeze it so it cannot move. Maru realizes that only the most suitable fighters have been selected for this task. Another teammate uses his ability to restrain the Rakshasa further, and Maru prepares to act, believing this is the perfect moment. However, the Rakshasa suddenly breaks free, throws one of the members away, and begins resisting again. The team tries to hold it down using ropes, but their strength is not enough. At that moment, another leader uses his power to increase gravity 20 times, forcing the Rakshasa to weaken and drop its weapon, though it also affects the team. Maru is shocked by this reckless move, but the leader insists that stopping the Rakshasa matters more than anything else, even if it puts teammates at risk. The powerful slash from the Rakshasa spreads rapidly, destroying everything in its path. But one of the directors and his team manage to stop it just in time. They focus all their strength on containing the damage within a limited area so it does not spread down the mountain. At the same time, other members ensure that the immortal Rakshasa cannot escape or revive elsewhere, leaving the tracking responsibility to those with heightened senses. Meanwhile, Nambul, filled with excitement, rushes forward and attacks the Rakshasa directly, believing he can overpower it. However, the Rakshasa stabs him through the stomach with its katana. Despite the injury, Nam holds onto the Rakshasa, refusing to let go. Taking advantage of this moment, another leader steps in and attacks the Rakshasa's head while the team begins using their mental abilities to suppress it. Inside its mind, the Rakshasa becomes confused, as if trapped in another world. The team leader orders everyone to hold the Rakshasa in place for 5 seconds so Maru can prepare his ability. However, the Rakshasa resists strongly, breaking through their mental attack in less than a second, causing heavy strain on everyone. The scene returns to a battlefield covered with dead bodies, where the same man appears again and asks what should be done with the captured people who have surrendered. But his leader coldly orders that all of them should be killed, saying he enjoys watching people die and believes their deaths will make him stronger and closer to immortality, which shocks the man and makes him realize how cruel and unstable the leader has become. And soon after, the leader is suddenly stabbed by his own partner, who calls him insane. Back in the present, the Rakshasa understands that the team is using memories from his human past to weaken him, and although he questions their actions, they continue their mental attack and try to hold him in place for a few seconds. But the Rakshasa fights back strongly and breaks through their control, cutting them down with a single powerful strike. Yet the team regains their strength and attacks again to restrain him. While in the memory, a man threatens the general's son to stop the leader, but the leader kills both of them without hesitation, showing no mercy. And in the real battle, the team becomes weaker but still manages to capture the Rakshasa once more, and finally the ice user freezes him in place. Everyone tries their hardest to hold the monster back, but suddenly it awakens and breaks free from their control, then strikes the ice ability user and throws her away, shocking the group. Seeing this, one of the directors uses his gravity power, but the monster bites his hand, forcing him to cut it off to survive. At that moment, Namble rushes forward to attack, even as Maru warns him not to get closer, and launches his own attack. As Maru's strike moves toward the monster, the Ganghwa team quietly takes their position, hidden behind a barrier, and catches it off guard. Chana then cuts her hand to form a spear and drives it straight through the monster's head, buying enough time for the 5 seconds needed. Maru quickly activates his black space power and traps the monster inside. Everyone stands in shock, wondering if it is finally over, and the smell tracking user confirms that the monster's presence has completely disappeared. The team feels relieved and believes the plan has succeeded, but suddenly, Maru begins to feel something wrong inside his body, and inside the black space, the Rakshasa is still active, trying to awaken the Devour power within him. Maru realizes he has made a serious mistake because the Devour has been trapped together with the inert monster inside the black space, something he has not expected, and he understands that the inert monster is now trying to awaken the Devour from within. Chana and the others quickly notice something is wrong and ask him what is happening, and Maru explains that he has to go inside the black space to finish the inert monster before he loses control of himself. Without hesitation, he opens the black space and steps inside, determined to handle it alone, but Chana and Seonwoo refuse to let him go by himself and follow him inside before it closes. Meanwhile, outside, the team becomes worried about their sudden disappearance. Inside the black space, the three of them prepare to fight together, knowing the danger is too great for one person alone, and they decide to hold the monster down no matter what. The inert monster keeps trying to trigger the Devour, but Seonwoo manages to injure it and slow it down. Taking the chance, Maru launches a powerful attack, but the monster quickly avoids it and strikes back, cutting off Maru's arm before his attack can land. Chana quickly rushes forward and attacks the monster, aiming for its brain because she believes that is the only way to stop its movement. But the monster reacts and launches a powerful strike that hits both Maru and Seonwoo, leaving them unable to respond, while Chana barely manages to avoid the worst of it. The monster then grabs Maru by the neck and drags him away, preparing to kill him and take control of the devouring power inside him, and Maru feels completely helpless, unable to even move. At that moment, invisible hands suddenly restrain the monster, giving Maru a small chance, while Chana uses her own blood power to damage the monster's brain and keep it unstable, even as her body weakens. Maru realizes that using his strongest attack would also harm his teammates, so instead he opens a portal and forces Seonwoo and Chana out of the black space to protect them. Left alone, Maru faces the monster again as it regains consciousness, and during the fight he bites into it and absorbs its power. As the black space begins collapsing, Maru decides to end everything together, now sharing the monster's power and forcing it to remain trapped with him. The monster calms down briefly and mocks Maru, saying he is foolish for risking his life just to destroy it, but Maru insists he never plans to die unless there is no other choice. Suddenly, the monster places a sword against Maru's neck and cuts off his head, absorbing his blood and power, believing it can become even stronger. However, something goes wrong, and its body begins to decay into a skeleton before recovering again, showing its strange immortality. At the same time, Maru's body also turns into a skeleton, and he realizes that both of them are trapped and will likely die together in the collapsing black space. The monster grabs him and tries to absorb everything, including his soul, but before it can finish, the devouring power inside Maru suddenly breaks free and attacks the monster instead. The devouring force begins consuming it, confusing Maru about whether it is saving him or planning to take over completely. As the process continues, Maru's body slowly regenerates, and he understands that the devouring power might be protecting him for its own survival. Outside, Chana and Seonwoo reappear, and the team realizes Maru has forced them out, leaving himself behind, likely trapped inside the black space with the monster. Everyone is shocked by what has happened, and Chana quickly explains that they cannot let Maru die like this, because they still have his severed finger from the black space, and if he regains the inertial Rakshasa power, there is a chance to bring him back. One of the agents realizes it might be possible, but worries about how they will gather enough blood and energy to revive him. So, without hesitation, the whole team offers their own blood to help save him. Inside the black space, Maru sees a faint light and slowly moves toward it, where he encounters the devouring entity that guides him forward. As he gets closer, many hands appear around him, and suddenly he regains consciousness outside, surrounded by his teammates, who are overjoyed to see him alive again. Maru, confused, wonders how he has returned, and notices their injured hands, realizing they have sacrificed themselves for him, which makes him emotional. Xianwu urges him to stop worrying and change his clothes, while Xianwu hands him something to wear, and as Maru removes the strange yellow outfit, everyone's injuries begin to heal. The team celebrates their survival and victory, seeing Maru as their new hope. Meanwhile, Un contacts the Jeju team chief, Edge, and says that an emergency meeting is going to take place where they will discuss about the 8 gods. Edge is absolutely excited about this. Everyone is worried about the 8 legions. Almost 90% of the Seoul headquarters has been decimated, and there is not a single solution in sight. During the meeting, Yoo Hyung reveals what director Ildo once said. She tells everyone that they should prepare for the day of prophecy, the day when Rakshasas will fall from the sky like rain. There, Olwa questions if they have any more information on the 8 legions. It is then revealed that the only identified legions so far are Immortality and Space Rakshasa. The Gluttony Rakshasa has also been identified, which is controlled by Maru. The other 5 Rakshasas, though, have not been verified yet. Meanwhile, Maru is fed up of being locked up and pleads with Xianwu to let him breathe some fresh air. However, Xianwu refuses to do so. Later, Xianwu mentioned about this issue in the office, and Deokmin suggests that they ask Maru to stay put, as the abyss might find him. There, Chief Edge taunts Xianwu for being a hypocrite. He calls him out for killing his father, Ildo, for being a legion, yet Xianwu having close ties with Maru. But before things can go further, Chana arrives just in time and takes Xianwu away. Later, in the forest, Chana asks Xianwu if Edge's words really got to him. There, another civil servant mentions that Edge is the youngest chief ever and Ildo used to cherish him a lot. However, Xianwu quickly corrects the civil servant and says that it was the Space Rakshasa and not Director Ildo. Just then, the 3 of them are confronted with 3 Rakshasas. Moreover, the Iljumun gate is also opened. All of a sudden, Chana starts feeling something strange. Her blood starts to draw towards the gate, and she seems to have no control over it. Back at the headquarters, Maru is feeling a bit taken aback due to his recent fight. He tells himself that he needs to recover as quick as possible so he can be ready when the 8 legions raid them. When he goes outside, the other men invite him for a meal. One of them starts telling Maru various stories, and Maru is not interested in any of them. The guy then starts showing Maru his daughter, but soon Maru realizes that they are the only one having a conversation. The guy then tells Maru that they should laugh and enjoy while they still can before bad days arrive. However, Maru thinks that's nonsense. Meanwhile, a young man in a floral shirt is on the ground while a Rakshasa stands right in front of him. A group of thugs are bullying a young man on the beach. All of a sudden, a Rakshasa arrive and beat the thugs in an instant. He then approaches the young man, looks down on him, and says that he likes his shirt. Then, the scene shifts to a room filled with darkness. Maru is standing in the middle of it and a blood rope is reaching to somewhere far away, confusing Maru. Suddenly, he is woken up by Seonwoo, who tells him that they are going home. Confused, Maru has no clue what's going on, so he asks Seonwoo about the people at the HQ. Meanwhile, we discover that everyone has returned to their offices. Hyung argues that the vice directors cannot leave, but she gets told that every nation is on emergency alert. Moreover, she gets asked to leave as well. Hyung sighs, thinking that this issue can really no be helped. At the same time, Deokmin feels like something is about to happen. Meanwhile, Maru sees on the calendar that it's his birthday, the day of his lonely misery. Soon, he receives a phone call from his mother, who tells him that she will be making soup for his birthday. Maru thanks for the offer, but refuses to get anything since he treats his birthday just like any other day. Suddenly, Maru hears a knock on the door. It is the twins and they wish Maru happy birthday. One of the twins even asks Maru to hang out with them, but the other one brutally punches him, saying that a young man such as Maru wouldn't be hanging out with old geezers like them. So, he tells Maru to go out and hang out with his friends. After going outside, Maru sighs, thinking that he got kicked out of his own house on his birthday. He then starts walking, and his stomach begins making some sounds. At first, Maru thinks that it's the Devour Nachel, but he quickly realizes that he is just hungry. Having some sausages from a stall, Maru thinks that he should try and talk to the Nachel, but he quickly changes his mind, realizing that it would be of no use. Just then, the young man who got bullied from earlier arrives and meets with Maru like they are old friends. However, Maru only pretends to know who this guy is. The young man then tells Maru that it's good he bumped into him while holding a knife behind him. Back at the office, Deokman asks everyone but the night shift people to go home. Moreover, Seonwoo gets reminded that it's Maru's birthday today. When asked if they should send him some birthday certificates, Seonwoo simply dismisses the idea. Later, he goes to the twins and discovers that they have allowed Maru to go outside and hang out with his friends. That night, Seonwoo is worried that Maru hasn't gotten back home even though it's so late. He tried to call him, but his phone is turned off. So, Seonwoo thinks that Maru might have been captured by the 8 legions. He quickly heads out of his room in panic but sees Maru arriving with his drunk friend. Seonwoo warns Maru to keep his friend inside his room. Later, while Maru is sleeping, the young guy gets on top of Maru and tried to kill him. However, Maru takes the hit like a real champ and maintains some distance. Soon, Seonwoo arrives as well. Maru then points a gun at the Rakshasa and asks why he is attacking him, questioning if he is a Nakal. The Rakshasa shoots himself, creating a cloud of red smoke, and reveals that he is one of the 8 legions. From the smoke, the Rakshasa tries to stab Maru, but he quickly avoids the attack. Meanwhile, Seonwoo has no idea why his powers aren't working but quickly realizes that it's because of the red smoke. Meanwhile, the fight continues and the Rakshasa is clearly overwhelming Maru. Suddenly, Maru bites the neck of the Rakshasa and waits for his powers to kick in. However, he is surprised to discover that his ability to absorb powers is not working. Seonwoo then quickly warns Maru to be carefully as their powers won't work due to the red smoke. Moreover, the Rakshasa asks Maru not to do anything foolish and ruin his clothes. He then pins Maru down on the bed. However, Maru realizes that if this goes on, then many people will be hurt. So, he frees himself from Rakshasa's grasp and jumps out the window, falling onto his back. Hurt, Maru has no clue why his healing process has become so slow. The Rakshasa then gains the high ground and jumps on top of Maru. The Rakshasa warns Maru not to struggle anymore and just give up. As soon as he is about to strike, Maru dodges yet again. Just then, the twins arrive just in time and asks Maru to get away. There are also other agents, waiting to capture the Rakshasa. The twins try to activate their ability but to no avail. It is then that Maru explains to them that their powers won't work due to the red smoke. The Rakshasa then uses this opportunity to its fullest and knocks out the twins in a single blow each. He then runs after the agents and decimates them one after the other. Soon, the Rakshasa is bored of using simple attacks. He sees an electric pole nearby, rips it out of the surface, and starts swinging it at the agents. Maru realizes that the casualty rate will only increase from here, so he decides to lure the Rakshasa away. He angers the Rakshasa and starts running away. Soon, Maru is out of breath and decides to take a breather at a nearby hospital. There, he plans on how to beat the Rakshasa without his devour abilities, but it is already too long and the Rakshasa finds Maru hiding in the hospital. The Rakshasa shatters the window and is standing right in front of Maru, asking if he is done running yet. However, Maru looks like he has passed out. The Rakshasa tries to get a closer look, only for Maru to throw a punch at him. However, the Rakshasa blocks his punch with little to no effort. He tells Maru that he was too slow. Then, the Rakshasa puts some force and grabs Maru's arm, only for it to come off from his body. It is then that the Rakshasa realizes that Maru has lost control of his devour powers. However, he tells him that it's no big deal since they will be going to the other world. In response, Maru says that he is not ready yet and triggers an explosion. After the dust settles, the Rakshasa is seen only slightly injured, wondering where Maru ran off to this time. We then learn that 1 month ago, to protect Maru, some measures were taken. Maru's fingers were cut and stored in refrigerated trucks. That's how Maru resurrects himself and heads to the office, feeling cold. Over at the office, Channa and other civil servants see Maru hurt and quickly rush to take care of him. Then, Maru reveals that the 8 are here. Back at the area where the incident occurred, Vice Director Hyung arrives and asks for a report from Seonwoo. He explains that he doesn't know exactly how the 8 got so close to Maru. Thinking to himself, Seonwoo realizes that he can't say that Maru invited the Rakshasa himself. He then questions Hyung if Maru is okay. In response, Hyung explains that another team is guarding Maru. Soon, Deokman arrives at the scene. Moreover, they are all worried by the fact that they are just normal civilians when it comes to fighting with this Rakshasa. Deokman then questions about the whereabouts of the 8. Just then, an agent quickly rushes to inform Hyung about the 8 wanting to see her. As they invite the 8 for a conversation, he explains how he is aware Maru resurrected himself since his body parts have been scattered all around. He then asks how many of these parts are scattered. When asked why he wants to know, the 8 explains that he wants to know exactly how many times he will have to kill Maru. Moreover, the 8 says he has an offer for them. He says that they will agree on a ceasefire if they will let Maru willingly enter the abyss. Not only him, the 8 wants everyone with the Nahal powers to get back into the abyss, as it is their belief. Later, Seonwoo asks Hyung if she has made up her mind. Hyung says that she will have to talk with other vice directors since there are 1,500 of them in civil service. Moreover, she is not sure if they will agree on this offer since it is a literal suicide mission. Even so, Hyung emphasizes that they should focus on planning to neutralize the Nachal threat in the meantime. Back at Maru's home, he is surprised to see the 8 there. He takes this matter to Seonwoo, who explains that they have agreed on a ceasefire. Although Maru is a bit skeptical about this, he lets this go and asks Seonwoo if he submitted the report about the incident yet. Seonwoo gives an inconclusive answer and leaves Maru alone with the 8. But Maru is quickly annoyed by the 8's behavior. Later that night, Maru is absolutely pissed at the fact that his enemy is sleeping comfortably in his bed and in his clothes. He decides to get some sleep as well, only for the 8 to disturb him in the middle of it. The two go back and forth for a bit, and it soon develops into a fight. Before things can go further, Seonwoo enters the room and asks them to come out and have some chicken. During the meal, the back and forth between Maru and the 8 continues. Seonwoo soon discovers that Maru has lost control of his devour powers. Finding this out, Seonwoo loses his cool and lashes out on Maru. Then, Maru questions the 8. What would happen now that he has lost control of the devour? The 8 simply says that he doesn't know. Moreover, he explains he doesn't even know why the devourer would choose a dumb person like Maru in the first place. Later, Seonwoo takes Maru to his room and asks him to take some sleep, mentioning that he will be looking out for the 8. Before sleeping, Maru and Seonwoo discuss how this peace deal will turn out to be. Seonwoo, with a heavy heart, tells Maru that this is the first time he has felt so helpless since he got his powers. He then leaves for Maru to take some rest. However, Maru feels the same as Seonwoo, helpless. He thinks about how they have to let their enemy do as he pleases, and they can't even do anything about it. However, Maru decides that it's best that he keeps the 8 distracted so he doesn't go out killing humans. While he is keeping the 8 distracted, he suddenly runs away. The 8 reaches the doorstep of some guy and kills him and his wife brutally. Maru quickly goes to stop the 8, but it is already too late. Later, it is discovered that the parents were keeping a newborn hungry for many years. Everyone is left wondering who even found out about this, and Maru is confused as to what type of creature this Rakshasa is. Maru cannot get the visuals out of his mind of that little girl. He wonders why the 8 is being so nice, but he quickly wipes off these thoughts, realizing that he cannot let his enemy deceive him. Along the way, Maru bumps into his mother along with Seonwoo and Channa. Even there, the 8 shows signs of being a friendly person and helps out Maru's mother carry the food back to their house. There, the mom asks about Maru's colleagues, especially Channa, who tells the mother that it is Maru who helps them at work instead of the other way around. The mom then shifts her attention to the 8 and asks about him. He explains that he is Maru's childhood friend. Simultaneously, Maru has a secret urge to kill the 8 right then and there. Soon, the mom explains that Maru went to a mountain with his father. When he returned after a month, he wouldn't eat anything and got very skinny. The mom then excuses herself to peel off some fruits, and everyone else except for Maru and the 8 tag along with him. As soon as they all leave, the 8 tells Maru that this is how he was able to get a hold of the gluttony's leash, by turning his own life into a weapon. For a child, the 8 believes that Maru was actually very impressive. Just then, Maru enters the void in his thoughts and hears the devourer asking him to eat. The devourer tells Maru that he is starving. Later, Maru and the 8 are seeing off the former's mother. There, Maru asks her to call him if she needs anything. Before leaving, the mom asks Maru if Channa has a boyfriend. When asked why she is asking, the mom says that she is thinking about setting Maru up with her. However, Maru lashes out on his mom and tells her to go away. He then turns his attention to the 8 and calls him out for pretending to be nice. The 8 simply listens to him without arguing. Maru then brings up about the peace deal. However, the 8 advises Maru not to get fixated on the peace deal anymore since it is already too late. We then see another 8 levitating over some yellow dust. Maru asks the 8 to clarify what he means. It has been too late, but he simply says he is too sleepy now and starts heading back upstairs. Along the way, he comes across Channa and whispers to her if it has begun yet. Startled, Channa jumps away from him, only for Maru to interfere. After he makes sure that she is okay, Channa and Maru go for a run. During that, Maru asks Channa when her birthday is, so he can celebrate with her. But she says that she doesn't care about birthdays that much. Shortly after, Chana is exhausted. Worried, Maru asks her if she is okay. It is then that Chana mentions about her blood being drained into the gate. Maru asks her if he has reported this matter to the higher-ups, and she says yes. Then, Chana tells Maru that it's her day off tomorrow and invited him for dinner to celebrate his birthday since she didn't get a chance to. That night, Maru finds it difficult to sleep due to the excitement. Meanwhile, the 8 wonders if it has begun yet. We then see another 8 biting small blood balls. One of them affects Chana, and she seems to be possessed. The very next morning, everything goes south. The bus once filled with civil servants looks like it is possessed. All the civil servants are walking in a straight line as if they have some orders to fulfill. The higher-ups are absolutely shocked to see this behavior. One of the teams enter a civil servant branch and continues to walk inside. The agents try to stop them, but they use brute force to make their way in. Soon, Hyung finds out that all 13 of the branches are being attacked at the same time. Some branches report that they are blocking the entrances, but they have no idea how much longer they can hold. Even at the Seoul HQ, the field agents are swarming outside. Soon, an agent arrives and tells Hyung that they should evacuate immediately. Hyung asks about director Bang Jong-sik, and soon hears from him that a new Rakshasa has appeared. This Rakshasa has appeared in the Chungcheong province, and a tomb has appeared in that area as well. Moreover, they realize that they have been fooled by the neutralization Rakshasa. Seonwoo enters Maru's room and wakes him up. He then informs him about the recent incident that has taken place. Seonwoo tells Maru about another Rakshasa appearing, this one being called the subjugation Rakshasa. Moreover, Seonwoo explains that the agents who got their blood drew into the gate are now acting strange. He elaborates that they are acting as if they have been given some orders. Just then, Maru recalls Chana telling him about her blood getting drained as well. So, he quickly tries to leave, but gets told by Seonwoo that it's no use to run after Chana since she is not either at office or at her home. Later, they are seen driving to the incident site, and Maru is asking them to hurry. As for other members of their team, Maru discovers that they are still working at the office. Moreover, Maru gets told that they agents won't enter the abyss unless he goes with them. Confused, he asks them to elaborate. Deokman explains that the subjugation Rakshasa is probably planning to make his subjugation army fight Maru, the one who acquired immortality, and take him into the abyss. Meanwhile, Hyung and one other director is worried as to how they are going to deal with this situation. Hyung says that they cannot fight with the colleagues, so they must acquire a defensive approach when encountering the subjugation army. During their discussion, they think that the other directors must be trapped inside their branches. They feel hopeless, realizing that the civil servant army stands no chance. Previously, they had only the neutralization Rakshasa to deal with, but they have to deal with the subjugation Rakshasa as well. Soon, Deokman enters the bus with other directors, but Han Maru is nowhere to be seen. One of the directors mentions that Maru appears to have decided to go alone. Worried, Hyung says that Maru won't be able to take on an army of humans, but Seonwoo says otherwise. Inside the tomb, the subjugation Rakshasa orders his army to neutralize Maru and take him into the abyss. However, Maru is fully determined to kill the subjugation Rakshasa and free Chana. Soon, the human army charges at Maru, and he doges most of them. However, among them is a monster who opens its mouth wide, ready to attack Maru. Maru efficiently doges the monsters and gets out of its way. He then realizes that he cannot let himself get bit, or else his immortality powers will be activated. He finds relief in the fact that he is one of the legions, so he cannot be subjugated even if he bleeds. Moreover, he revises his plan to find a way inside the tomb and kill the subjugation Rakshasa to end this. However, he gets trapped after stepping into a wine. It quickly begins to trap Maru. However, Seonwoo arrives just in time and frees Maru. When asked why he is here, Seonwoo tells Maru that he would never be able to make his way inside without help. He then instructs Maru to make a run for it while trying to dodge, and says that he will break the legs of anyone who tries to stop him. Maru grows determined and begins following the plan. He makes a jump for it and is happy to see that he is almost there. But remember, kids, not everything is rainbows. The monster bites Maru and half of his body is gone. Maru realizes that this is bad, so he just self-destructs himself, realizing that this immortality powers would absorb flesh and blood of others. Maru is then resurrected and once again he is feeling cold. He then gets out of the truck, looks around and sees dead bodies everywhere, wondering what had happened here. Soon, a voice calls out for Maru. It is Director Myung-sik, and he explains to Maru that the Busan HQ was attacked. Maru then tries to heal Myung-sik using yellow dust, but he tells Maru that it's of no use, since his regeneration is too slow. Back at the battlefield, Seonwoo thinks that there will be a temporary ceasefire since Maru has self-destructed himself. He believes that subjugation Rakshasa wouldn't want to waste any more humans. However, it turns out to be the exact opposite. Soon, the subjugation army begins hunting down the civil servants. One of the servants is in danger, but Seonwoo arrives just in time to save him. But now they are all surrounded by their colleagues. Seeing them being overwhelmed, Seonwoo thinks about using his powers to clear a path for them to escape. But he realizes that the price is too much to pay, and he will lose too much strength and will be vulnerable. Soon, he sees someone charging towards the subjugated army with an intent to kill. The attacker swings his sword around a few times, eliminating all the threat around them. Soon, it is revealed that it is Chief Edge. Seonwoo quickly asks him what he is trying to do, killing their colleagues. Moreover, he questions Edge how he even got here when other directors are stuck in their offices. Edge coldly asks Seonwoo to look around him to get answers for his questions. Moreover, he says that they need to keep fighting if they want to stay alive. The monster is then about to attack Seonwoo from behind, but Nam quickly grabs him inside a protective shield and signals Seonwoo to be quiet. There, Deokman reveals that he has one plan. He says that he is going to unleash his darkness power. Furthermore, he states that he will enter the dark world where only his soul will remain. This is the only way he can manifest his powers without gouging out of his sight. Seonwoo then questions Deokman how he will come back. In response, Deokman reveals that he won't, since there is no way. He then tells Seonwoo that he will have to kill him without drawing any blood. Seonwoo quickly recalls Edge telling him not to hesitate fighting his colleagues anymore, so he decides to obey Deokman. Meanwhile, Director Bang and Hyung are trying their best not to hurt their colleagues, but Bang's offensive power is proving to be vulnerable while using it as a defensive means. Soon, the agents make their way through the defenses. It is then that Hyung realizes that things have gone too far already. So, she orders everyone to free their weapons and abilities against the subjugation army. Seonwoo is trying to choke Deokman to death. However, suddenly someone points out in the distance. They all look in unison and see the red smoke covering an entity. Soon, Bang informs everyone that their Rakshasa powers are gone now. Amidst the red smoke stands the neutralization Rakshasa, laughing hysterically. Soon, the neutralization makes his way further, and the civil servants have no clue why he is here. Some speculate that he is here to finish the job. As for the neutralization Rakshasa, he realizes that the red smoke is not making the subjugation wear off, so he decides that it's time to end it. He then starts beating up the subjugated ones, one after the other. Nam quickly asks what they should do since the Rakshasa is slaughtering their colleagues. However, Deokman notices that the Rakshasa is only knocking them unconscious. Moreover, Deokman wonders why the neutralization Rakshasa is helping them out. Soon, an order is passed to restrain the subjugated directors. After everything is calm, Deokman approaches the Rakshasa and asks why he is helping them. The neutralization Rakshasa simply explains that he is furious that the subjugation Rakshasa interrupted his deal with the humans. He then asks Deokman about Maru. Suddenly, a helicopter pulls up, and Maru makes a grand entry, catching everyone's attention. He ignored the Rakshasa completely and tells Deokman that he wants to have a private chat with him. During the private conversation, Maru asks about Chana's whereabouts and mentions that he is heading inside. Along the way, Mary comes across Seonwoo, who tells Maru that he is coming along with him. However, Maru coldly tells him not to. He tells Seonwoo that a level 7 won't be of any help amongst the level 8s. Frustrated, Seonwoo asks Maru if he can even handle this situation alone. Maru tells him not to worry and warns him again not to follow him. Seonwoo then tells Maru to either get Chana out alive or die trying. Maru then makes his way inside and spots the subjugation Rakshasa sitting in his throne. Moreover, the Rakshasa is keeping the higher officials as his private guards, but Chana is nowhere to be found. All of a sudden, Maru gets attacked from my behind, and it is none other than Chana who attacks him. She slices her sword a few more times, but Maru barely manages to dodge them. He then attacks Chana and manages to break a piece of her helmet. He then notices that the armor is draining all of Chana's blood. Realizing that this will kill Chana in no time, he decides that he has to eliminate the subjugation Rakshasa before it is too late. Maru then jumps, trying to make his way to the subjugation Rakshasa. However, he gets interrupted by a monstrous hand that's approaching him. It turns out to be a huge black-colored monster, and Maru seems completely useless in front of it.